Sudan to here, who don't have any prior ties or communities to go back to. They're faced with the option of going to a long-term refugee settlement. It's about a day's drive from here, and that's one of the reasons many people are choosing to stay here in the transit camp. The numbers are going up. The rainy season's due to start in the coming weeks, and the humanitarian agencies are concerned that the limited sanitation is going to become very strained indeed.
Well, people who've been displaced from Sudan's capital are now returning to some areas of Khartoum. That's despite ongoing battles between the army and paramilitary rapid support forces. Most are returning to the city of Omdurman during the fasting month of Ramadan. Al Jazeera's Heba Morgan reports.
It's been a difficult time for Abdullah Kamil and his family. They had to flee from their home in Omdurman in Sudan's capital Khartoum when the conflict began last year. He says the battles between the two warring sides and artillery shells falling around his home made it hard to stay. After nearly a year of displacement, they've now returned in time for the fasting month of Ramadan.
We suffered a lot when we were displaced. Then we heard that our part of Omdurman is stable, that there is water and electricity, and the shelling had lessened a lot. Not like when it was at the start of the war. So we came back here to observe Ramadan and to stay.
Omdurman is the second largest city in the capital region, but the war has pushed out most of its residents, while both sides used artillery to target each other. Street battles have also left their scars on the walls of the city. The rapid support forces took over large parts of Omdurman during the first few months of the conflict. The Sudanese army has been slowly recapturing ground from the paramilitary group in the past few months. The UN has called for the warring parties to observe a ceasefire during Ramadan for civilians to be able to tend to their needs, but the fighting continues. While some families have returned to parts of Omdurman, life is still not back to what it was before fighting began. Basic services such as running water and electricity are still cut off in some parts of the city, and the sounds of heavy artillery are constant around the capital. Despite that, families are gradually returning as the army continues to regain more territory from the RSF. And some have not been able to leave since the conflict began. This communal kitchen in what's known as the Old Omdurman area has been serving food for those who couldn't leave. When Ramadan started, it began serving iftar meals to break the fast.
We used to really struggle to get vegetables to feed people. The place was under RSF control, so it took us hours to get to the market. Now it's more stable since the army took over, so it takes less time, but people can't afford food or drinks.
Abdullah says he's glad to be able to return to his home. He says he hopes other parts of Omdurman also see stability so that other families can return not just for Ramadan, but to rebuild their lives once again. Heba Morgan, Al Jazeera, Omdurman.
Time for a short break here in Al Jazeera. When we come back, Colombia calls off a ceasefire with a breakaway faction of the FARC rebels and says it'll resume military operations against it. And a rocky start for Argentina's president, who's marking 100 days in office. We'll explain why he's angered so many Argentinians. More on that. Stay with us.
The weather's been very, very active over the Middle East in the last couple of days. In fact, it's rare you could actually draw what effectively is a cold front up here running across the Middle East, including the Arabian Peninsula, and crossing the Red Sea in towards Africa's mainland. As a result, there's been flooding. There is more to come, but most likely it's going to be a reduction in the showers running up through Iran, the heaviest rain further north in Turkmenistan, for example, where the coldest air is. But because of the frontal system, it tends to kick up the wind, and a cooling trend briefly will knock temperatures back. But as that wind swings back round, it will warm up in western Saudi once more. Mecca up to about 35, Doha in the wind at about 27. And yes, this is likely to be a sandstorm, of which there have been many warnings recently. But it is an improving situation for Iraq, if not necessarily for all of the Levant. Throughout equatorial Africa, the showers are showing themselves once again in Equatorial Guinea and maybe parts of the Western DRC and the Republic of Congo, but it's Tanzania that has the warnings of potential heavy rain. And where it's been very hot recently in Uppington, 42.3, which is yet another record. That has significantly cooled down. The forecast here is 34 degrees, and throughout South Africa, mostly on the eastern side, showers now are more likely.
For over 30 years, Human Appeal has been making the most of your mercy. Our teams successfully deliver your charity to those who need it most across the Muslim world. We are feeding, building, caring, curing, planting, purifying, teaching, and helping transform lives. This is mercy in action. This is Human Appeal.
Welcome back. You're watching Al Jazeera. A quick reminder of our top stories here this hour. There are new warnings about the dire shortage of food in Gaza. The UN's human rights chief, Volker Turk, says Israel's restrictions could amount to the use of starvation as a method of war. At least 23 Palestinians tasked with helping to distribute aid have been killed by an Israeli bombardment in northern Gaza. Warplanes struck their position near the Kuwait roundabout. There have been several attacks on Palestinians seeking aid at the same location. Now, the Colombian government announced it will resume military operations against a faction of the FARC rebels that broke away when a peace accord was signed back in 2016. President Gustavo Petro's administration suspended ongoing talks with the armed group after an attack on an indigenous community. Al Jazeera's Alessandra Ampetti reports from the Colombian capital, Bogota.
A vicious attack on unarmed civilians. Members of a rebel dissident group opened fire on this indigenous community in the western Cauca region last Sunday when locals resisted the armed group's attempt to forcibly recruit a young student. At least 3 people were wounded. One renowned indigenous authority was killed, leaving her community long ravaged by armed conflict once again in disarray.
There's a lot of uncertainty, anxiety and fear. We're growing desperate. There are 12,000 people in the indigenous reservation and people are stuck in their houses. Kids are not going to school. Everything is stalled because we don't know what will happen next. So the question is now for the government, what will they do? We're trying to attend to both the security and social emergency.
President Gustavo Petro, who has bet on negotiating peace agreements with remaining armed groups in the country, took to social media to announce that the attack was a violation of an ongoing ceasefire and ordered a resumption of military operations against them. The Estado Mayor Central, or EMC, is the largest dissident faction of former FARC rebels who refused to join a 2016 peace deal. Experts say that since the accord was signed, Colombian authorities have failed to take control of the country's most volatile regions, allowing remaining armed groups to expand and fight for control of illegal activities like drug trafficking.
The government is engaged in peace negotiations with this guerrilla group because they argue that they have political agenda. But the truth is that the agenda is unclear and they don't have support among local communities. And at the same time, they took advantage of the ceasefire to strengthen themselves militarily. And that's what the president has now understood and is trying to stop.
The government says negotiations with this group will continue despite the setbacks, but the next steps are unclear. On Tuesday, the country's largest criminal organization, the Clan del Golfo, announced they will also start talks with the administration.
In the end, there's no doubt that the suspension of the ceasefire is a political blow for President Petro's plans to consolidate peace in the country, and one that unfortunately portends an increase in violence for those caught in the crossfire. Alessandro Ampetti, Al Jazeera, Bogota.
Now, one of Haiti's gang leaders has rallied his supporters to regain control of a neighborhood in the capital. Ezekiel Alexandre led a crowd through Port-au-Prince after his escape from prison during a recent wave of violence between warring gangs. Security forces are struggling to repel the increasing unrest. That allowed the U.S. state of Texas to arrest and deport migrants who crossed the border from Mexico illegally has been put on hold by an appeals court. The law, known as SB 4, briefly went into effect after being given the green light by the U.S. Supreme Court on Tuesday. Mexico says it rejects the law and that it won't accept people deported by Texas. Donald Trump has filed a bid with the U.S. Supreme Court for criminal immunity for trying to overturn his 2020 presidential election loss. Trump's lawyers submitted a brief on Tuesday arguing that presidents be shielded from legal action for official acts while in office. Lower courts have already rejected the bid, but the country's highest court will listen to full arguments of the case on April 25th. Trump's legal bid has been criticized as a ploy to delay the trial until after November's election. The former president of Brazil, Jair Bolsonaro, has received his first indictment in the several criminal investigations he's facing. He's been charged with criminal association and falsifying his own COVID-19 vaccination data. Bolsonaro is accused of giving false information to make it appear that he and his colleagues had received the coronavirus vaccine. He was openly skeptical of vaccines and flouted health restrictions during the pandemic. Monica Yanakiev has more now from Rio de Janeiro.
The most serious of all the inquiries going on right now are about his alleged role in masterminding the January 8th uprising in Brasilia, the capital. Bolsonaro supporters stormed Congress, the Supreme Court, and also the presidential palace. 1 week after current President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva took office in January 2023. And the reason was that they believed allegations made by Bolsonaro while he was in campaign that the electoral system could have been rigged and that there could have been a fraud, which was never proven. Also, Bolsonaro is also being investigated for his role in allegedly plotting a coup, and this is the reason that he's being investigated is that his former military aides came forth and testified that he had planned to ask for military intervention in case he lost the elections. So all these investigations should end in July, and that's when people expect that Bolsonaro is likely to be imprisoned. Monica Yanakiev, Al Jazeera, Rio de Janeiro.
In Argentina, it's 100 days since President Javier Milei started work. It's been a turbulent time in office so far after the self-proclaimed anarcho-capitalist vowed to reverse decades of economic chaos. His right-wing cost-cutting reforms continue to provoke fierce resistance, as the poor say they're even worse off. Teresa Bow has more from the capital, Buenos Aires.
The country right now is highly polarized in Argentina. Right now, when you talk to those who voted for Javier Milei, they say that the president did not lie to them. When he took office, he told the population that the situation was going to become incredibly hard before starting to get better. And that's exactly what happened. Milei continues to have around a 50% approval rating, especially among those who voted for him. And that's what they say. And that's why they continue to express their support for Argentina's president. However, the situation is completely different on the streets in the center of Buenos Aires, where the protests and the clashes between the police and protesters have become a norm. They're happening almost every week, violent clashes between people trying to block roads to express their concerns about what is happening in Argentina, and the police that is trying to prevent them from blocking those roads. Since taking office, Milei devaluated the currency, reduced subsidies on transport, on electricity, the prices of fuel has gone up. So the situation has become increasingly difficult for most people in this country. The government says it's boasting in a way that it has the support of the International Monetary Fund, that for the first time in years, Argentina has a budget surplus, that in February they have managed to reduce inflation from 25% to around 12%. So the government is saying that in a way this plan is working, but against him, against Milei, are those who are on the streets, thousands of them who say that Milei's economic plan comes at their expense.
7 crew members are missing after a chemical tanker capsized off the coast of Japan. 4 others were rescued from the Kyongyong-sun in rough seas. There's no word on the threat of pollution or what chemicals were on board the South Korean ship. The Coast Guard launched a rescue operation after receiving a distress call. The start of the Major League Baseball season is just hours away, and for the first time, the opening game is in South Korea. Tickets reportedly sold out in less than half an hour for the curtain raiser between the Los Angeles Dodgers and the San Diego Padres. The Dodgers are due to unveil their $700 million superstar, Shohei Ohtani. Eunice Kim reports from the capital.
Major League Baseball has landed in South Korea for the first time. The Los Angeles Dodgers received a hearty welcome over the weekend, a team with familiarity in a country full of baseball fans. Topping the roster is its newest superstar, Shohei Ohtani.
I'm on a new team and we are opening in Korea, which is all something out of the ordinary. In that sense, I'm very excited and looking forward to it.
The 29-year-old two-time American League Most Valuable Player will debut with the Boys in Blue in the two-game season opener on Wednesday and Thursday. The newlyweds signed a record 10-year, $700 million contract, part of the Dodgers' billion-dollar off-season spending spree. They'll face off against California rivals, the San Diego Padres, and South Korean shortstop Kim Ha-sung.
If more games like this are held, many Asian players will have a bigger dream and take on the challenge in the MLB. I really hope many will take up this challenge.
A full-circle moment is anticipated as the host country's first MLB All-Star takes the mound for the ceremonial first pitch. Park Chan-ho kicked off his illustrious career with the Dodgers in '94 and served as an inspiration for many South Koreans struggling through the rough years of the Asian financial crisis. Now the MLB has come to South Korea, and just as Japan hosted 5 overseas season openers with the league's first 24 years ago, South Koreans are hoping that this is just the start of many Seoul series to come as the organization looks to expand its global footprint. Eunice Kim, Al Jazeera, Seoul.
Well, that's it from me, Darren Jordan, for now. You can, of course, find much more information on our website, aljazeera.com. There it is on your screen. Don't go away, though. The news continues here in Al Jazeera after 101 East. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
On counting the cost, can the Conservative government's 2024 budget win over British voters? Egypt unlocks billions of dollars in loans and investments, but will that fix the country's economy? And Bitcoin is rocketing, its cryptocurrency making a comeback. Counting the cost on Al Jazeera.
In staunchly Catholic East Timor, priests are widely revered. During the young nation's bloody struggle for independence, they played a crucial role, protecting resistance fighters and those fleeing the violence. But there's a dark side to the Church's presence in this poor nation. Child abuse scandals involving high-profile clergymen, both foreign and local. Yet support for the church has not waned, and some of the country's top leaders openly stand by the priests, even after one was sent to prison.
So for you, his place is not to be in jail?
No. No.
And you will continue to bring...
I will continue, and he's every year.
101 East investigates East Timor's pedophilia scandals. It's early Sunday morning in the Southeast Asian nation of East Timor. And like every Sunday in the capital Dili, the cathedral is packed with worshippers. With the exception of the Vatican, East Timor is the most Catholic country in the world, with almost 98% of the population practicing Catholicism. A former Portuguese colony, East Timor is located on the eastern edge of the Indonesian archipelago. When the Portuguese left in 1975, this Catholic enclave declared its independence. But shortly after, neighbouring Indonesia invaded and annexed the small territory. This marked the beginning of a violent occupation that lasted until 1999. With more than 150,000 people killed, the fight for independence claimed the lives of almost a quarter of the country's population, one of the deadliest conflicts of the 20th century. During the occupation, Catholic priests sheltered, hid and cared for independence fighters on a massive scale. This commitment could help explain why the Church wields such influence in East Timor today. But a number of scandals have plagued the institution in recent years.
Ami feto iha orfanato tuponis ne ami hetang hutu. Somane malahetang. Tatami heneva 2003 au sikikoa au netina undianus. Abang bairua histori ne sai au tenki kulia sai au ne aling feto sirotutu iha timorlara.
This is the testimony of one of more than a dozen victims who had the courage to denounce the pedophilic acts of an American priest, Father Richard Dashback. Dashback spent 8 years in Indonesian West Timor before moving to the small enclave of Okusi in 1975. He set up an orphanage there in 1991. It was in this institution that he raped young girls on numerous occasions over a period of almost 30 years. In March 2018, the man of the cloth finally confessed the extent of his crimes in a chilling letter to his superiors. Dear Father General, it's impossible for me to remember even the faces of many of them, let alone the names. The victims could be anyone from about 2012 back to 1991, which is a long time. I will comply fully with any measures that will be imposed. Sincerely, Richard Dashback. After receiving his letter, the Vatican expelled Dashback from the priesthood. 3 years later, in 2021, a Timorese court sentenced him to 12 years in prison. This was the first time in the country's history that a clergyman had been put behind bars for sexually abusing children.
Hutu ida be haruk ami tamane mama asrama sira mosat atene hutu ami ha lista ida ia be expa ia padre ne ia be odamata atu tamagane be quarto ne ia ne bansa abang kalan exemplo hansa hau silai hansa ami turhamu tu ihanene ni agosta se então ni makulia rasi. Então ami siki koang ami la bela kulia bot ida tambania hare ami ne hansa orang rasi hansa sosa ami se ida fo sekolah ami to bot então ni halo buat ida be abuso seksual ne ami mosna nogde ami feto tu ne pona hutu.
We travelled to the isolated enclave of Okusi to see the orphanage Dashback set up. Lily worked here with the priest for years, helping look after the hundreds of children who pass through the institution.
And this one picture from our December 2012, like this.
Where is Father Richard?
Yeah, Father Richard in here.
Okay.
And that's make Father Richard like a very love all the kids, love all the widow, like a woman when the husband die, and you know, no family to support them, and they make something bad.
But according to victims, supervisors at the orphanage were well aware of what Dashback was doing.
Ami uda beti ila dit ami tobania ansa fen holain ni haruka ami kair nya manu kotu nya kair ami nya tau nya liman ia ami nya pagina.
Despite the victims' testimonies and Dashback's own confession, the former clergyman is still considered a national hero in East Timor. Many people here continue to defend him. Prime Minister Xanana Gusmao is one of his biggest supporters. Gusmao was the former leader of the armed wing of the Revolutionary Front for an independent East Timor.
He was an unknown hero. He founded an orphanage, like he met many times the militias, the Indonesian soldiers, and he was very tough. No, we don't surrender, etc., etc., and that is why he was an unknown hero.
In the 1990s, Xanana Gusmao spent 7 years in Indonesian jails. He went on to become East Timor's first elected president, following the country's independence in 2002. To show his support for Dashback, the now Prime Minister visited him in Dili's Bakora prison to celebrate the pedophile priest's birthday.
So for you, his place is not to be in jail?
No. No.
And you will continue to bring...
I will continue, and he's every year. We saw that there was like a good link between few organizations defending women, defending girls, etc., etc. Maybe they are receiving money. I don't say that they receive. The problem is when it is violation.
This type of reaction to Dashback's conviction is common in the upper echelons of East Timorese society. Martino Germano da Silva Gusmao is a former priest who has become an influential advisor in the circles of power.
I think completely this case must be like abolished, or this must be, cancelled, nullified, and his name must be restored if follow the rule. But if they have this real proof, then but you cannot use that fake proof. You cannot, just because you hate the Catholic Church in Timor-Leste, you cannot do that. I was surprised that this kind of things happen in the church.
Dashback is not the only Catholic priest to hit the headlines in East Timor in recent years. Another well-known and influential cleric has seen his image seriously tarnished by accusations of pedophilia. Carlos Felipe Ximenes Bello, the longtime head of the Catholic Church in East Timor and joint winner of the Nobel Peace Prize in 1996. But at this Mass, no one wants to talk about the national icon.
You have no opinion about Bishop Bello?
No, because
for you, it's just rumors?
No comment.
He's not a sexual criminal for you?
No comment.
Bello is an independence hero who helped inform the world about the atrocities unfolding in his country. His courageous support for the independence movement cemented his reputation as a fearless defender who helped protect his countrymen from the Indonesian invaders. At the Resistance Museum in Dili, a portrait of the national hero is still prominently displayed at the entrance. Also on display are the personal effects of demonstrators who died on the 12th of November 1991, a tragic date in the country's history. Thousands of Timorese people gathered peacefully in the Santa Cruz Cemetery, paying tribute to one of their own, killed by the Indonesian army. The crackdown was relentless. More than 250 were killed by occupying forces.
The cemetery, public cemetery, that in 1991, 12 November, Indonesian soldiers shoot down our peoples, especially the young people. More of us died, and more of them was arrested to the jail, to the hospital.
Gregorio Saldana was at the cemetery that day as an organizer of the event. He now chairs the 12th of November committee, which commemorates the victims every year.
When the massacre happened, Bishop Bello came to visit the cemetery, and Bishop Bello went to hospital to visit us. And Bishop Bello planned to open his door in his residence to protect the victims of massacre.
For you, he's not guilty about this accusation, according to you?
I don't want to comment about the process of judicial accusation, because we don't interfere to the problem. As a member of Catholic in Timor-Leste, we have the obligation to manifest moral support to Bishop Bello. Only this one.
Yet the country's former bishop and Nobel Peace Prize winner is accused of multiple rapes and sexual assaults of young boys. In late 2002, the Vatican relieved Bello of his duties. Shortly after, citing health reasons, he left East Timor, spending time in Mozambique and Portugal, where he now lives. In 2020, the Holy See strengthened its sanctions. The former bishop was banned from residing in his own country and also from coming into contact with minors. Despite his removal from East Timor, his aura has remained intact and can be felt throughout Dili. The Miners' Seminary of Our Lady of Fatima welcomes hundreds of students every year. Paolo has been teaching Latin and sport at the seminary for more than a decade.
This place is the name of the place is Nobel Prize Garden.
Okay. For Bishop Bello?
Yes, for Bishop Bello. By our history, all the people know that the contribution of the church in East Timor is very important to build the nation. Just now, I can say that this time, the Catholic education is better than education in East Timor. So all the people want to their son or their daughter to come in Catholic school, especially in seminary.
Bello was a regular visitor at the school, often attending religious celebrations.
Bishop Bello is very popular to the East Timor people because Bishop Bello is very kindly people. Not only like the church leader, but for all the people, especially for the poor people here, poor women here, because he's very near to the people. So all people in East Timorese feel that like their father.
During these ceremonies, Bello would invite young boys to join him at his house in the evening. Two of the alleged victims say they were abused at the residence where Bello, the then bishop, lived for 14 years. Bello did not respond to repeated requests for comment. His successor, Cardinal Virgilio do Carmo da Silva, also did not reply to our requests for an interview. Investigating sexual violence in East Timor remains complicated and frowned upon. Antonio Sampaio learned this the hard way. A journalist for the Portuguese news agency Lusa for 20 years, he was the first to report allegations of child sexual abuse by priests in East Timor.
I think because of that shock, and because in the initial days of the coverage, the Timorese media mostly ignored the issue and didn't really report it. Lusa and our coverage, which was 101 journalism, there's nothing there to be questioned about the journalism that was done, led to some people making threats on social media. There was people saying that they were going to organize groups to come and stone my house. Fortunately, none of that happened. It is clear that when you attack a figure like, or when you come out with comments and news about a figure like Ximenes Bello, there are people that are not going to like it. When the news came out, there was even journalists in Timor that replaced their profile picture with a picture of Ximenes Bello. There was a lot of support around the bishop. There was even some people that were trying to see if they could identify the victims because they were sort of accusing them of being unpatriotic, of destroying a national hero.
Popular support for Bello has been reinforced by the man holding one of the highest offices in the land, the president. Jose Ramos Horta has been president of East Timor since 2022. A former comrade in arms of Bello, he won the Nobel Peace Prize with him in 1996. The president still doesn't approve of the Vatican sidelining of the national hero.
Il a eu un rôle très très important. Il représentait l'Église, mais aussi tout le peuple de Timor. Mais il y avait beaucoup. Absolument, pourquoi pas, oui, j'espère.
Sa place, elle est plus ici qu'au Portugal?
Non, c'est surtout à voir avec le Vatican, avec le Saint-Siège, et la décision s'il pourrait venir ou non au Timor. Oui, bien sûr, les gens aimeraient bien l'accueillir à Timor, oui.
Qu'est-ce que vous avez pensé, vous, quand vous avez entendu les accusations qu'il y avait contre lui? Vous avez réagi comment?
Non, je ne vais pas commenter ça maintenant.
At all levels, the code of silence continues. Yet the silence surrounding these scandals is not limited to the church in East Timor. Josh Trindade is an anthropologist and advisor to East Timor's government.
The Timorese society in general, they still don't see pedophilia as a big issue. It's not like in the West, you know. In Australia or in UK, if you are a pedophile, it's like, you know, really bad. For example, I'm talking to my, educated Timorese friend who studied overseas, like US. They come back, they still looking at minors as sexual object. Like they're talking about it, it's just something normal. And then I said, are you crazy? This is minor. Minor is a big crime, you know. I mean, you can have sex, a consensus with adult, but with minor, no. So from that, then I understood that a lot of people still don't understand the issue of pedophilia.
According to our information, a dozen other priests are accused of sexual abuse in Timor. And like Bello, to date, they have never been prosecuted. But if a priest who's been jailed for child sex abuse can enjoy such high-profile support, the fear is that other victims here will remain silent.
In China, this is a summer camp.
Win the battle for the fatherland. Kill.
Boys and girls as young as 6 learn to handle firearms and develop endurance to be ready to protect their country.
I will make you run so hard you will howl.
101 East visits China's military camp for kids on Al Jazeera.
Al Jazeera is here to report on the people often ignored, but who must be heard. How many other channels can you say will take the time and put extensive thought into reporting from underreported areas? Of course, we cover major global events, but our passion lies in making sure that you're hearing the stories from people in places like Palestine, Libya, Yemen, the Sahel region, and so many others. We go to them, we make the effort, we care, we stay.
Unique perspectives.
They're bombarding the place in southern Gaza that they told the Palestinians to go to.
Unheard voices.
Through humor, I try to highlight the absurdities, inconsistencies, and hypocrisy in the political landscape.
Connect with our community and tap into conversations you won't find elsewhere.
It takes everyday citizens going through unspeakable horrors to raise the alarm about what's happening because of the dearth of media attention.
The Stream on Al Jazeera.
Israel strikes an aid distribution point in northern Gaza.
Well, it's a wunderbar Wednesday, and here we are starting off another day. Sweetie Abochi and
Benjamin Akakpo. You know how we do it on the AM show. But before we get into the lineup, of course, we have our Proverbs because it's still the month of March. And as our way of celebrating Ghana, every day when we come on here, we want to tell you a proverb in our local language. Benjamin, should I go first?
You go first.
Etododo onyo uvosa. Simply put, etododo nyo uvosa. Obedience is better than sacrifice. If only our leaders will listen to us and do what we want and obey us, then maybe they don't have to sacrifice anything. Sacrifice the country, go and seek financial bailouts from anywhere. Anyway, that's my proverb this morning.
So,
what do you have?
it's more like trust and obey, huh?
Yeah.
Trust and obey.
Yeah.
Okay, mine is pretty simple. Yes, it. Abo ni duano, nyame ne prane ho. Abo oni duano, nyame ne prane ho. Dua here doesn't refer to stick; it refers to a tail. And so, basically, even for the animal, when it goes through its normal processes, defecation and all of that, how does it clean itself? God sees to that. It also reminds me of that portion of the Bible that talks about our not being anxious about anything, because the same God who cares for the flowers of the field and makes them so beautiful, so elegant, who cares for even the sparrow and sees it when the sparrow falls or a hair of your head falls, takes care of us, both humans and animals. The final bit, though, it got me reflecting on how we are destroying our environment, especially in Ghana. Is that what God would want us to do? The same God who cares even for the ant.
Wow. That's something to reflect on then, Benjamin.
Yep.
But in a bit, yes, I'll be serving you the news, and we'll get into the news review. Today, political scientist and director of Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Asasanti will be our guest, and he's no stranger on the show. After that, then, Muftana Bila Abdullahi will come and bring you all the latest chronicles in the world of sports.
But from there, we get into our big stories, and there's been a tussle back and forth on whether President Akufo-Addo should give his assent to the anti-LGBTQ bill. Now, the president had earlier intimated that he wouldn't sign it until the legal battles surrounding the bill were over. Well, last night, we cited a letter from the Attorney General which advised that the signing or otherwise of the bill should be made after the interlocutory injunction applications were determined, not after the entire case was decided. So this was after the clerk to Parliament was rebuffed when he earlier tried to submit the authenticated anti-LGBTQ bill to the president for his assent. And yesterday, some parliamentarians expressed a say on this matter. They say the presidency is overreaching. But what is the situation? We'll discuss that later on the show.
Also coming up, there's a Ghana Connect Town Hall meeting in Tamale today. Evan Smensan will join us with details later on in the show. And then we've got AM Business, courtesy of EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank. And then hopefully we get to enjoy a conversation with a lovely audience.
We look forward to it every day, don't we?
I like the way you say the normal kojos and names. Please, say it again for me.
Today, the Kofis and the Adwes.
Yeah.
It's always good to hear from you. So just stick and stay. Let's know what's on your mind. But for now, it is Sweetie Abochi with the news up next.
When I look at the economic management team, it is quite clearly a fantastic team. Professor Jambafo, Senior Minister Yao Osafo Maf. What a solid team.
your essential guide to the pulse of Ghana's democracy. Election Brief offers you a front row seat to the latest updates, in-depth analysis, and comprehensive coverage.
What does this mean? We therefore project it is almost statistically impossible for President John Dramani Mahama to achieve 50% plus one. Our projection is that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo will win the 2016 presidential election.
The champion, undefeated.
During this campaign season, our experienced team of reporters will bring you exclusive insights, breaking news, and unbiased reporting from every corner of Ghana.
The people have met him with excitement and they keep chanting Savior to imply that they believe that he holds the key to turning the economic fortunes of the country.
As Vice President, I am like a driver's mate. But by the grace of God, if you make me the president, I will be in the driver's seat with constitutional.
We dive deep into the strategies, the promises, and the people shaping the future of our country. Election Brief isn't just about the headlines. It is about the voices of the people.
This is an election. These people came to us that they are going to maintain everyone. And here lies the case. We have the videos, evidence. And now they've taken our names out. Look at the number of people here. And you expect us to let the election go on. Never.
Join the conversation and have your say. Your voice matters in shaping Ghana's future. Catch the Election Brief every weekday from 2 to 2:30 p.m. only on Joy News. Joy News, your election headquarters.
Countdown to December 7. Political party manifestos will anchor the key issues that will define the next government. The need is urgent to guarantee that the manifestos reflect the real needs of citizens. Star Ghana and Joy News proudly present the Ghana Connect Town Hall live from the Northern Regional Capital, Tamale. Citizens will gather at the Bagabaga College of Education on Wednesday, March 20, 2024 at 3 p.m. for the live Town Hall engagement. Join us for the pre-live event engagements from the morning as we sift through the key issues of importance to you. The Star Ghana Joy News Ghana Connect Town Hall live on Joy News, Joy 99.7 FM, myjoyonline.com, and across our social media platforms from 3 p.m. this Wednesday. Make your voice count in the crafting of manifestos only on your election headquarters.
This is the AM News. Let's get into the details. The ECG is coughing up several thousands of dollars as the company begins emergency maintenance to restore power to affected communities. These activities of the suspected criminals are causing power outages in some communities in the Ashanti region. Oheming Tewia has more.
The miscreants are targeting Bulls and North, holding the base of high-tension towers belonging to the Electricity Company of Ghana. In one of such operations, thieves caused 8 about 12 kilometers to fall, leading to power outages. The power company has had to ration power supply to affected areas, which included Kumawu, Bekwai, Manson Kwanta, and Edwiso. Here is General Manager, Ashanti Substation Division, Engineer Peter Kofi Fletcher, who first spoke about the severity of the vandalism.
We have our tower line, which feeds areas like
Echankrum, Ejusu environs, Efidiasi, and its environs, Kumewu, and its environs in Aguna. We came this morning to see that the towers holding the lines have fallen. 8 of them have fallen on the ground. And last night, this happened. In fact, it happened last night during the rainfall. And we came to site and realized that the cause of them falling were as a result of some boat knots being removed, some members which have been removed from the base up to a level of about 3 meters from the base have been removed. And these are structures that were intentionally built. Every component is necessary in the construction. So if you remove the boat knot and the members, you compromise the integrity. So yesterday during the heavy windstorm, our line tripped. We tried again and it didn't hold. So this morning, as we're hunting for the cause of the outage, we came and realized that 8 of our towers are on the ground. And the cause is basically some parts have been removed from the base, basically the boat knot and the members. And this affected power supply.
The situation is not only a dent on the operations of ECG, but also a financial constraint on the strained resources. The ECG will spend at least $1.2 billion on maintenance works alone. Engineer Kofi Fletcher again.
The cost alone, we're envisaging not less than $1 million in the construction. The time for the construction alone, we may go almost about a month. This is just even one of the many vandalism around. Our transformers, which are even in circuit on the poles, have been toppled to the ground to even steal some part of it. Our RMUs, you go around, our RMUs are even being exposed. Some parts of the equipment, the one that's mounted at the ground, are being exposed. People are just picking some petty part of it. But you see, the petty part of it that you pick, that doesn't fetch you much. The whole equipment is damaged. So we just entreat the public that if you see anybody around this equipment suspiciously, kindly report. Our number is 0302 611 611.
So what does this mean to customers in affected areas?
We are assuring our customers that though it is a blow to us, the impact on customers may not be felt that much because we are reconfiguring the network to put everybody on supply.
Meanwhile, officials of ECG have lodged a complaint with the Ghana Police Service while working around the clock to fully restore power in affected areas. From Kumasi, for JoyNews, Oyinentiria reporting.
Classroom blocks at Manley Dada and African Unity Basic School in the Dade Kotopong municipality are still in ruins 10 months after its roofing was ripped off by rainstorm. Pupils say they are unable to undertake specialized subjects like computing and practicals because of the facility is no longer fit for such a purpose. In spite of the promise by the Dade Kotopong Municipal Assembly to fix the situation within 3 months, it appears this promise is becoming a pipe dream. JoyNews' Ramat Bashir visited the place and has filed this report.
It's been almost 10 months with no roof over a 13-unit classroom block at the Africa Unity Basic School and Manley Dada Basic School in the Dade Kotopong Municipal Assembly. The roofs were completely destroyed following a downpour in May 2023. The pupils now compete for space with the hot scorching rays from the sun. But as the rainy season beckons, the fate of over 500 pupils now hang in a balance. The grim reality of having to stay home while the rain setting lingers on their minds. Hannah Aitonam-Gavo is the head girls prefect of Manley Dada Basic School. She says the situation has begun taking a toll on the academic work of her colleagues.
And the academic works of the students now is coming down because when sometimes it rains, it leaks inside the room, yes. And we don't get time to learn too. Because if it's raining, we all pack ourselves and sit one side. Both Manley Dada and African Unity are sitting in the same classroom and different teachers. So maybe if Manley Dada is having a lesson and African Unity 2 is having a lesson. The teachers became confused.
The regular classroom stream has been collapsed into one unit. Aside from the congestion they're currently dealing with, they are unable to pay attention while lessons are underway. It's become a reason why some pupils are absenting themselves from school.
If it is raining too, all the students must pack themselves at one side before we be comfortable. And or even the class we are, it's because of the rain. We can't even learn well. And even the sun is scorching too much. We can't even stay in the class. It's scorching on us too much.
We are not feeling comfortable because whilst the teacher, the Maledada school teacher is coming to teach, and whilst our teacher too is coming to teach, it will be confused.
Okay, for me, I'm striving to learn very hard because when it rains, we cannot concentrate on what the teacher is teaching on. So we all have to go to another class to purchase the small so that we can, when the rain stops, we can come and then learn.
I feel sad because when the rain falls, it destroys our books that we use to learn. So we don't get enough books so that we can learn with it.
For the head teachers of these institutions, cost sharing of classrooms, libraries and restrooms are a major nightmare they have had to contend with on a daily basis. A timetable for two schools merged into one when it shouldn't be the case.
We're having congestion in the classroom because two schools coming together as one was problematic. Furniture was also another. How to draw a timetable for the various teachers to go to class to teach, the two head teachers managing our resources very well was a bit challenging.
The situation is unbearable, it's uncomfortable, it's unpleasant. It retards teaching and learning. Instead of progressing, you see them retrogressing. Or sometimes getting information from different teachers becomes very difficult.
The Municipal Director of Education at LADMA, Habiba Kotoma, is blaming the slow pace of work on resource constraints. She is confident with the intervention of stakeholders and some companies, the situation will soon be resolved.
The fact that the cost is so much, the first company that came on board was not able to complete it last year for us. Then we have a current company in place that came forward willingly and asked if they could support any of our schools in distress. And the MCE agreed and handed over African Unity. We are hoping that this current company will work faster and get African Unity back on its feet. Then the Ghanaian child in La can go back into their normal classroom.
Curious to find out the cause of the delay, JoyNews visited the head of works for LADMA, Engineer Ben Debra. He stated that the budget for the project is yet to be disbursed, but was hopeful that work will be completed in 3 months when funds are allocated.
Beginning of the year, we prepare our budget and we implement our budget based on what has been put in a gift miss. When we say gift miss, you understand. So every payment that is not in the gift miss, it will not be on it. So this year is the implementation year. Come in 3 months' time, you see the final stages of the work.
Despite assurances from the Ladade Kotopong Municipal Assembly to repair the damaged classroom block, the situation remains dire, impeding academic activities and depriving students of the right to quality education. Ramat Bashiru's report for JoyNews.
And now from our elections headquarters, women's group affiliated to the National Democratic Congress, calling themselves John and Jane Powerful Group, says the nomination of Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman as the running mate of the NDC is a demonstration of dedication to diversity and inclusivity, adding that the historic action marks a critical turning point in Ghanaian politics, empowering women and inspiring hope for a brighter future. At a press conference, the group praised Professor Jane Opoku-Agyeman's nomination as the running mate for the 2024 general elections, saying it would be a great inspiration for women hoping to hold leadership roles in higher offices. JoyNews Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafiq Salam reports from Wa.
The focus of the press conference of the National Democratic Congress NDC affiliated women group, calling themselves John and Jane Powerful Women Group, was on the historic nomination of Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman as the running mate for the 2024 general election. The conference aimed to highlight the significance of the nomination and rally support for her. Convener of the group, Rahina Salifu, highlighted the transformative impact of Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman's nomination on women aspiring to leadership positions. She averred that the overwhelming endorsement of Professor Nana Opoku-Agyeman by the National Executive Committee, the Council of Elders of the NDC, and John Dramani Mahama is indicative of a strong party support.
We are gathered here this morning to witness a historic moment in our nation's journey towards progress and equality. We wish to commend the bold and visionary decision made by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, as his running mate for the 2024 general elections. This announcement signifies not only a commitment to diversity and inclusion, but also recognition of invaluable contributions women make to our society and governance. As the largest opposition party in the sub-Saharan belt, we are proud to have endorsed her candidacy for not just once, but twice. This groundbreaking decision did not only set as a precedent, but also serves as a powerful motivator for women aspiring to leadership positions in higher offices. Let us continue to champion diversity, inclusivity, and progress in our political landscape.
The women's group outlines Professor Opoku-Agyeman's track record as the former minister
had handicap in raising initial time-bomb registration fees.
Would you vote for me if I promised you the sea? Well, the leader and founder of the New Force movement, Nana Kwame Bediako, alias Cheddar, is promising to cure the Ashanti region's misfortune of not having the privilege to host the big old ocean. According to him, a massive vote for him on December 7 will see his administration sending the sea to the region to ease the burden of hauling goods to and from the region. Stanley Ni Blewu filed this following report.
It's that time of the year again when politicians awash the country with campaign promises. Leaders of the political parties like the elephant, the umbrella, and the butterfly are already in the lead, flooding electorates with a mental view of what they think heaven is, hoping to secure their vote in the upcoming December polls. It's however safe to say now, Nana Kwame Bediako, aka the Mask, aka Cheddar, has joined the fray and has in fact overtaken them all. Should he pass the Electoral Commission's political parties registration criteria and after manage to secure 50% plus one of the total valid votes cast on December 7th, 2024, the sea, I mean the ocean, will be extended to the landlocked Ashanti region.
I
have been around the world and I have seen development. I wanted to replicate same in Kumasi. Dubai used to be a desert, but now they can boast of a sea. I would also want to dredge to have the sea in Kumasi, so ships can easily transport goods to the region to enhance business fortunes.
Social media has already been buzzing with mixed reactions following Chada's political promise. Here are some comments we picked on X.
Ifya1 posted, "Can't he bring all of them on excursion to see the sea and go back? Won't that be cheaper?" Obiabanye said, "At last, the single promise that the Ashantis have been waiting for is here. Hooray! The new force will get not less than 90% in the Ashanti region." Ofori Highest also posted, "Chairman Godusa, then flood Kumasi, make them all 10 aqua impata."
Some residents of the Ashanti region have been reacting.
I think it's literally absurd. It can't happen. I'm not talking about it being an impossibility, but then let's be honest and let's be realistic. How can you dredge a sea from Accra to Kumasi? It's not possible.
I think it's outrageous because, saying that you're bringing a sea to Kumasi is out of the ordinary. If you are going to say that you are bringing a sea because of transportation, then you are very, very wrong. Maybe he's just using it as a means of trying to get the attention of some people. But then, to me, this idea of bringing a sea to Kumasi is not feasible.
It's literally impossible, Charlie, because how can you move sea from where? Accra to Kumasi? What if you're talking with Kumasi? Why are you coming to put the sea in Kumasi? You get it? So it's literally impossible. Are you going to dig in gutters, tunnels, or how are you going to do it? It's not possible.
Well, if you live in the Ashanti region and your wildest wish is to have the sea on your land or live along the coast, then the masked man, the Cheddar, Nana Kwame Bediako, is your preferred candidate. Make your vote count.
Across Africa, a new era has begun. Shifting our focus to a new horizon, connecting us with one purpose: to create and share opportunities to grow. Today, we are making a brighter tomorrow, built by our dreams and our energy. Across our continent, across the world, we are creating a better way to a better...
Of the Ghana Trades Union Congress is alarmed by the recent happenings concerning the employment of casual workers in the health sector. The union questions why the government has failed to enroll casual workers paid with internally generated funds onto the government payroll, but employs fresh hands in the sector. The Volta and Uti Regional Chairman of HSWU, Emmanuel Bagno Gato, raised concerns about the development at the Volta and Uti Regional 13th Quadrennial Congress in Ho.
This category of workers, mechanized and sent to the facilities to work. Whilst we have same category of people on government, on IGF, of the facilities. So we are pleading with government to employ these ones. Some of them are 40 years old in service on facilities IGF. Some of them are 10 years, some of them are 15 years, which is even against the labor law. So government should do well to create opportunities for this staff, or this category of staff, so that they are also enrolled onto the payroll.
The General Secretary of HSWU, Franklin Owusu-Ansah, called for the urgent implementation of a directive by the Director General of Health Services on salaries of casual workers.
There was a circular from Director General that IGF staff should be paid the same as mechanized staff, but we have not realized this at the facilities. Kindly take this to Regional Director that yes, we know he's our father. He has ears for us, and he knows that we have the strength and power to support him to achieve the dreams of the region in terms of health.
Volta regional officers were elected to lead affairs of the union for the next 4 years. Fred Kwame Asari, JoyNews, Ho.
That was the 13th Quadrennial Congress in the Volta region. Now, moving on, renowned media personality and host of Standpoint, Ohiniere Giftianti, has urged young women to brighten their corner, citing her own journey from a floor manager to a television anchor. Speaking at the Her Story Summit in Wa, Upper West region, to mark International Women's Day, Ohiniere Giftianti emphasized the importance of perseverance in the face of criticism. JoyNews Upper West regional correspondent Rafik Salam reports from Wa.
The summit held at the SDWB campus in Wa and the team counted in accelerating gender equality through economic empowerment brought together participants from various political parties, women's groups, and students from different schools. The event is part of Feed Ghana's annual Her Story campaign aimed at highlighting the stories of women in diverse professional fields and promoting mentorship and advocacy for young women and girls. Executive Director of Teen Talk, Osman Linat, welcomed participants to the summit, setting the stage for discussion on gender equality and women's empowerment.
International Women's Day is not just a day, it is a movement to recognize the resilience, strength, and unwavering determination of women from all walks of life. It is not just the continuous celebration of successes, but also to acknowledge the challenges we continue to face in our pursuit of equality and justice.
In a keynote speech, Chief Executive Officer of A Direct Impact, Noam Falong, highlighted the ongoing challenges faced by women in education, health, and economic empowerment.
While there have been strides in areas such as education and healthcare, economic empowerment still remains a very difficult frontier for women in the journey towards gender equality. Very often, women are disproportionately affected by poverty. We know that in our locality, poverty is rife. There's so much difficulty, so much suffering, low incomes. But when you look at women, we bear it even harder than the men.
Renowned media personality and host of The Standpoint, Ohiniere Giftianti, shared an inspiring journey, encouraging young women to pursue their dreams despite obstacles.
I didn't set out to be a journalist. I didn't want to be a journalist. But I found myself in that space. So I decided that I was going to make the best out of that. Listen, ladies, no matter where you find yourself, make sure you make the best out of it, so that when you leave there, you'll be remembered. Ladies, it doesn't matter how you start. It doesn't matter who you have in your corner. What is important is, what are you willing to sacrifice?
The summit concluded with panel discussion featuring women from diverse professions, including academia and politics, sharing their stories and insights with young women, fostering self-advocacy and mentorship opportunities. Reporting for JoyNews, Rafik Salam. Wow.
And that's it for the AM News on the AM Show. Now we get into the conversation. Stick with us. Up next is a news review.
Countdown to December 7. Political party manifestos will anchor the key issues that will define the next government. The need is urgent to guarantee that the manifestos reflect the real needs of citizens. Star Ghana and JoyNews proudly present the Ghana Connect Town Hall, live from the Northern Regional Capital, Tamale. Citizens will gather at the Bagabaga College of Education on Wednesday, March 20, 2024 at 3 p.m. for the live Town Hall engagement. Join us for the pre-live event engagements from the morning as we sift through the key issues of importance to you. The Star Ghana JoyNews Ghana Connect Town Hall, live on JoyNews Joy 99.7 FM, myjoyonline.com, and across our social media platforms from 3 p.m. this Wednesday. Make your voice count in the crafting of manifestos, only on your election headquarters.
Theophilus Esifuabaje just wanted to help his mom fix her milling machines whenever they broke down. But with the skills he has acquired, he's now designing and manufacturing agriculture and construction machineries. We feature his startup, Age Engineering, this Wednesday on the Joy Business Van.
I also discovered a challenge that is in the agri sector, which is post-harvest loss in cereal production. So that was where I gained interest in developing a threshing machinery for the last section of the underserved market segment who are into agriculture, who do not really have the means to purchase, these humongous machineries that are, or threshers that are on the market. So the aim was to add threshing machineries to the production so that we will have machines that are professionally designed of high quality standard and economical as possible.
Theophilus's vision is to industrialize Africa and create jobs for the youth. Age Engineering on the Joy Business Van this Wednesday on TV, radio, online and on ground. Powered by Joy Business and supported by EcoBank, A Better Way, A Better Africa, and MTN, What Are We Doing Today?
Welcome back on the AM show. Time now for us to get into the stack of newspapers right here. I'll be ushering you into them in a bit. But in case you just joined us, it's time now for the AM News review. Do stick and stay. I'll be introducing my guests shortly. But before that, as always, like with Profa here for you. Yesterday, we continued with our conversations. We had Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. We'll be telling you a bit more about them. But they are still offering you, if you're a man, prostate screening for free. That walnut-sized organ in your body could cause you a lot of devastation if you don't take care of it. There are things that happen naturally when you age, but are you taking proper care of your prostate? Did you know, for example, that tomatoes were very good for your prostate? I know a lot of men who don't like tomatoes, but there you go. You're actually creating problems for yourself. They contain elements that are very good for your prostate. Now, if you're a woman as well, your fertility, maybe you've taken it for granted. I'm a woman, so I'm fertile. For all you know, you're developing fibroids, which could compromise your fertility. For all you know, there are things going on within your reproductive system that could actually lead to a loss of fertility over time. Now, this is why you ought to make your way to Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, because for both of these, they're offering screening for free. Just reach out to them at any of their branches. In Accra, they're at Spintex, opposite the Shell signboard. Kumasi, Kronumabwe here, behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takrade, Anaji Estate, Tema, Community 22, Techiman Hanswa, and Esiama Nzima. Their call lines 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. And the start of the news review for this morning, I am joined by a political scientist at the University of Ghana. He's also director of the Center for European Studies. He's none other than Dr. Kwame Asante. Doc, I see you. Do you see me?
I see you too, Ben, and I like your outfit.
Thank you.
I like the muscles I'm seeing. Fond memories. In the 90s, I used to have such body, man.
Then you should not see me when I do start working out, because it's been a while. It's been a stressful start to the year, but we are making do. And I love your elegant University of Ghana shirt, Integri Procedamus.
I'm proud. Eugene, our school, our pride. Yes.
So I'll give you your usual time, but before you get into that, I have a problem. It has to do with power, energy, electricity, because last year, I think I shared this experience with you. You shared it at the same time, yours as well, where the lights, you couldn't power, you lost some fish and all of that. Do you remember? At that time, I was without light for 5 days. And the reason was simply that the systems were down. So you had money to buy credits. In fact, I purchased credits. They didn't reflect. You couldn't get credits from a vendor. You couldn't get credits on the app. Guess what? I'm back in that situation because, you know, for those of us on Camstrap 2, they are making some changes, bringing in other meters. But for those of us still on those old types, Camstrap 2, now, for 2 days now, you can't recharge. Not at the vendor. You can't recharge. They don't have connectivity. And the app is also not working. In fact, yesterday I invited some ECG people. The last time it happened, I called Samuel Dubik Mahamad, the managing director of ECG, and he was telling me some stuff about South Africa and things coming. Here we are again. I don't know, but these things are frustrating because consider my job. I have to wake up very early, get things done if I've not ironed the day before. So it just makes things, but here we are. Anyway, I'll leave you to reflect on what you want to reflect on this morning.
Yes, I'll touch on it briefly and then move into mine, because this is a matter that is of concern to many, including my good self. Sometimes, you know, you are in a situation where you have money, you want to purchase credit, you can't have access. Why? Sometimes the light goes off without any notice to anybody. Meanwhile, you have planned your life in such a way that you want to make use of electricity for whatever that you have planned for, and you don't get it. It's worrying, and nobody tells you anything. Today, is the ECG company telling? Why is that information not forthcoming? Because what we are seeing is nothing but doom. So why are they afraid to say that? There's nothing wrong when you are governing and there are difficulties. Come out and say it. If it is not it, also clear it and let us not see that action that gives people the concern or they believe to want to describe it as such. I don't get it. If you govern in such a manner, you always give room for speculation, and it doesn't bode well for you. This ECG thing must be fixed and fixed once and for all. That people have money to buy credit, they can't get it, or they have to move. What do you want us to do? What do you want us to do? It is a problem. I've been experiencing that, so I share in your pain. I share your pain. But I'll quickly tie it up to a documentary that Joy from you guys did. Congratulations, about empty plates.
It's actually titled JoyNews, Empty Plates, the Free SHS Promise.
Right. Yes. I look at it and I ask myself, are we a serious people? Do we have government which is serious? You have come out with brilliant policy, free SHS. You want to also feed people free in school. That's good. But look, it's a policy. So a policy, once you introduce, you have to evaluate it from time to time and see whether the policy is living up to expectation. If not, you find ways of improving them, or you terminate it altogether. Is that what we are seeing? Is that what we are seeing? That what even gets me so angry is the fact that you see the PRO for Minister of Education trying to justify these things. When parents are saying...
Yes.
Yes. I was so
in
angry.
fact, in reference to this, he spoke about a report, and then he also talks about speculation. But just 2 days ago, I hosted Dr. Clementa Park, who is, I believe, the deputy ranking member on the Education Committee of Parliament. We were here talking about the crucial issues, and we activated the phone lines. Doc, you should have listened to the calls we were having. Real stories on the ground. I believe Agona, SHS, even Wesley Girls. Can you imagine that one person called and said, as a parent, he was concerned because his ward had seen what is supposed to be rice delivered to Wesley Girls High School, and they were what was labeled. The label on the jute bag was poultry feed. Poultry feed.
Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
Can you imagine that?
But if you make mention of it, they'll tell you, oh, it is speculation. I don't know.
What is that? And I was so angry that the PRO got the courage to defend these things, and then you will not let people talk. This is parents who are saying that we don't have food, the required food nutrient for our kids. Are they lying? How would parents lie about their own children when they are not getting the service that they are required? Why? When I look at him, I say, PRO, come again. It's so annoying. He shouldn't get us angry. All right. If you are governing and there are problems, share the problems with us. We will also come in and be part of the problem solving. That is how we govern. But you want to cover the thing. You don't want anybody to. I was so surprised when one of my colleagues talked about the fact that, we spend so much in feeding our kids. And I said, I don't believe this. I took a phone and I called a journalist friend, and he confirmed. And I said, really? Because all this while I did not know. And my worry was the fact that teachers were not speaking. Obviously, you can understand. They will be intimidated. Headmasters were not speaking.
If you speak up, you may be sanctioned. You may even be relieved of your position. You may be transferred to some other place that you may not like.
What type of culture of silence in education is that? Are we back to that era? I'm not sure we are back to that era. That we can't complain about a system that we have put in place, that we fund. Remember, public policy is what? Driven by what? State resources. So when you are putting my money in there, I have a say in that. Why are parents shying away? Now that they are speaking, all right, who is also forcing them to speak? We don't have to sit down for things to go wrong. We are stakeholders for that matter. So when something is not going well, we have every right to speak and damn the consequence. Of course, we are guided by the rules of the game. We speak, making use of the rules of the game. But look, we will continue to speak. Whoever is not happy, he can go and then have a rest at home. We will continue to speak, criticize the system, and we will not also hesitate to praise when praise is deserved of that action. So please, Mr. Government, please, the ministry, do things right, because you are not, doing things right at all. Parents are worried. Their children are not getting the right nutrient for the food that they consume. They are looking for opportunity to supply food, and there are always difficulties. Why? Why? You have a beautiful policy. Just open up, allow stakeholders to come in, and then let them be part of the problem solving. But if you cannot solve it, and yet you won't open your doors up for people to also have opportunity to what? Contribute to that, then what type of governance is that? Please, that is opaque. We don't want that.
Thank you very much for your thoughts, Dr. Kwame Asante. Let me start with the stories in the Daily Graphic newspaper. Police arrest Edubuahin murder suspect. And then there is Jospon distributes VinFast e-cars in Africa. There's also Wasi calendar revised. And there's Graphic Business Stanbic Bank breakfast meeting. We brought you a live coverage of that yesterday. Prioritize tourism in development agenda. Sector fetches $3.3 billion in 2023. GTA CEO to government. On the back page, which is where I'm going to start from, African hockey chief defends safety of Ghana's pitch, and Rosie Abua wins gold for Ghana in high jump. You may have heard, Doc, about the South Africans withdrawing their male and female teams because the Theodosia Oko hockey pitch they felt was not safe for their players who have qualified for the Olympics. Well, the president of the African Hockey Federation, Saif Eldini Ahmed, has stepped forward to give assurance of the safety of Theodosia Oko Stadium for all the hockey stadium for all participating countries following the recent withdrawal of South Africa from the African Games, amid concerns by South African officials about the safety and readiness of the venue for the competition. Now, he acknowledged the challenges in venue preparation due to delays by the contractor. Mr. Ahmed also maintained that after meetings, all participating federations had agreed to proceed with the competition. It does not mean the right thing was done. They agreed to go ahead with it. And he makes mention of a point. South Africa's withdrawal from both the men's and women's hockey teams last Monday highlighted concerns over the readiness of that stadium. And the head also pointed out that among the 25 African countries recognized by the Africa Hockey Federation, only South Africa had a certified pitch. However, he expressed optimism that the Theodosia Oko hockey pitch would attain certification by October, coinciding with the Under-21 African Hockey Tournament. I asked myself, we're supposed to host this in 2023. That is why it is Africa 2023, the African Games. We had to postpone because we were not ready. And in 2024, our hockey pitch was still not up to scratch. But there's some good news. In a historic moment for Ghana athletics, the nation's anthem echoed through the University of Ghana Stadium last night as Rose Amwenima Yeboah clinched gold in the women's long jump event. Yeboah's remarkable 1.90-meter jump in the final event secured her victory, marking the first time Ghana's anthem has been played at the competition in celebration of an athletics triumph. All the others have been in some other sports. In fact, when you look at our medal haul, about 41 or so coming from arm wrestling alone. It tells you that in some other areas, we are not exactly performing. Any reactions to the sporting news before I go on to other stories?
Yeah, I think we commend the lady who had just made Ghana proud, the high jumper.
Right.
The field event is a very difficult exercise. So when you see a woman, for that matter, doing her best, we are happy. And we salute her. We salute her. But come to talk about the hockey stadium, for me, it's a sorry story, an ugly spectacle. I don't know why such an international program, we created that mess for ourselves. The whole world is watching. They are reading about what is happening. And this is not a good advert for this country at all. More so when we are talking about this particular stadium, which was very close to the heart of Professor Mills. You recall? That the day that they were repairing the stadium, Professor Mills was there because he himself was a hockey player.
Yeah, back in his day at the University of Ghana. Yeah.
Yes, that we would maintain the standard. And then if the time came for us to do a few finishing up for this tournament, we will put our house in order. But what has happened? I think the organizing committee and the ministry would take political notice of this, right all the wrongs, and so that the next time we don't have such bad publicity. It's not good for us at all. The issue of tourism is an important
and
one.
if you may, maybe I'll just read a bit of the story and then you can react to it. So it says, the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Tourism Authority, Akwesi Agyemang, says there must be a deliberate action to put the tourism sector on the front burner of government policy because of its potential to be a key driver of national development. He said in most instances, tourism was treated as the last item on the budget and that there was the need to rethink its role and potential contribution to the economy. Now, in spite of the potential for growth in the tourism sector, challenges such as high taxes on hotels, import duties, utility bills, and labor costs were identified as impediments to the industry. I don't know whether in recent times you've tried just hanging out at any eatery or hotel or whatever, it would shock you about the cost. Yesterday, I think at the Graphics Stanbic Bank breakfast meeting, I don't know whether it's the head of the Labadi Beach Hotel where it was being held. He says some of the fish, for example, they can't source it in Ghana. If you do, you will not get the right quality and you may not get the right quantity. So they have to source it from South Africa. And the taxes on them, it means if you crave that and you are going to that entity, through no fault of theirs, already the cost is sky high, even before they can add on anything. These are impeding the tourism sector.
Very, very unfortunate. Yesterday, I listened with rapt attention the program that was organized, and kudos to your team. You did a lot by asking the relevant questions. I was very much in love with the question posed by, Winston about the problem you raised about the manager saying that some of the items, they can't get them here at the right qualities and quantities and all that. We have to start from somewhere. If you're talking about fish, the ministry has done a lot by helping the aquaculture to grow. And then the aquaculture chamber is also doing a lot. What they are failing to do is to make sure that those who produce, all right, they get market for them. I think if the hotel is mindful and or minded, and then they want to support this effort, let them get closer to farmers. And I'm sure some of these will be dealt with. Coming to look at the tourism in general, I think we have the potential in this country. And I saw Joy FM, your team, moving to my area, Ekwapem, the Sanama, the Komfanochi hometown, and the rest of them. There are a lot in this country. All that we need to there should be a conscious effort to develop them and derive the necessary benefit from what God has given to us.
Right.
If we are able to develop the sector very well, add to cocoa,
right,
improve every aspect of cocoa, we should clear unemployment. It should be a thing of the past. But our leaders simply don't want to do it. I don't want to believe that they are bereft of ideas. It's simply what? They don't want to do it because they know how to do it. They have seen it from other developed societies and all that. And knowledge abound. So if they really are serious about our welfare, they will impose some of these things and make life better for us. We need to rise up as a people to demand such answers during campaign.
Right.
So that you don't only put it in your manifesto, but we make sure that, look, you work the mathematics for us in the first place. And then what? When you get power, you come and implement them. If you fail to do that, we show you the exit. That's all.
All right. Doc, let's make the most of the next 6 minutes or so as we get ready to wrap. On page 16 of the Daily Graphic, pay contractors, Asantehene urges government. And the Asantehene Otumfuo Osei II has urged the government to pay road contractors in the country to enable them to pay back loans they acquired for projects. He also said the government must stop piling up certificates of contractors and rather pay them promptly for them to complete their works on schedule. The Asantehene said the inability of the government to honor its payment obligations to contractors had led to some of them abandoning projects. But I'll just like to go on the international front and do this quick story. Criminals making billions from forced labor. That's according to the UN. And Illegal profits from forced labor worldwide have risen to the obscene amount of $236 billion per year, the UN Labor Agency reported Tuesday, with sexual exploitation to blame for 3/4 of the take from a business that deprives migrants of money they can send home, swipes jobs from legal workers, and allows the criminals behind them to dodge taxes. Do you have any quick thoughts on this before we get into the Ghanaian Times newspaper?
Yes, I'll look at the pay contractors. That is a very important statement from the king, as always, right? Why would we want to engage people to work for us, and then when it comes to payment, we shy away? It's unfortunate, and I salute the king for bringing it to the attention of government, right? Is government doing things right? People have what? You have engaged them. They have rendered the service. Why are you refusing to pay? I mean, it's part of the things that pile up debt for us in terms of what, our local debt. It's not a good thing. And if we want to be serious, let us be serious here so that we have our rules fixed at all times. It is in the interest of government to do that, because when it comes to accountability, they have to account for this. And they should not be in pain when we also see that, look, they have not performed satisfactorily, for which reason we want to punish them by voting against them. That they should not be, it should not elude them. They should be mindful of that.
All right.
The other one is what, the 236 billion that we lose through this illegal activities within the world stage. These things are of great concern, that we need to find solution to this. It's becoming one too many, and I think the international community must rise up to the occasion and deal with it head on.
In the Ghanaian Times, I'll focus on the president giving us his assent to the anti-gay bill, so to speak. Now, I'll start from page 8, where AG advises President to hold on to assenting to LGBTQ plus bill. The Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Mr. Godfrey Adame, is advising President Akufo-Addo to hold on to assenting to the Human, Sexual and Family Values Bill 2024 until the Supreme Court decides on 2 actions filed by Richard Delaskai and Dr. Amanda Odoi to challenge its constitutionality and consistency with the 1992 Constitution. Citing what it says, in the circumstances, I am of the view that assenting to the bill while the applications for the interlocutory injunction filed in the 2 suits are pending will render the said applications ocious and undermine the authority of the Supreme Court to determine the issues raised in them. Ocious or otios meaning that it will be futile. But then, when you go to page 4, we have the minority also responding. The Office of the President has told Parliament to desist from transmitting the Proper Human, Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill 2021 to the President for his assent. The office explained, I basically cited that, but there are some reactions because the minority says the presidency is now overreaching, that it is overreaching its powers and that it is not acting in consonance with what is required of them. An application for injunction, Haruna Idrisu, the former minority leader, argued, was not an application in itself for the president to delineate his duty as he is enjoined by the Constitution. The count from the day the clerk submitted the bill to the office of the president was on, and should the president not assent or communicate back to Parliament within 7 days why he can't assent to the bill as required of him in Article 1067, quote, we will hold the president responsible for constitutional breach. Your thoughts?
Yeah, a very interesting conversation there. But I am with the president because the issue is before the Supreme Court. Why are we in a hurry to deal with it when it's at the appropriate forum?
But the president was in a hurry when the e-levy was at the Supreme Court. People took up the matter to the Supreme Court. He signed it anyway.
We saw the criticisms. When we saw the criticism that you should have waited. This time around, the president wants to wait. And why are people talking?
But then people will talk because you are picking and choosing. When it suits you, you act a certain way. Because, of course, if you've listened to the Attorney General, if you've listened to Apinyo Market, if you've listened to the president himself in the past, it was clear that there was signaling on this matter. So then people say, you are picking and choosing. But what's good for the goose should be good for the gander.
But the first one, we saw the criticism that he was wrong. He should have waited and all that. Now the president wants to wait. Why are people also not interested in that? I believe that we should wait. Let the Supreme Court will finish its work, and then we come back and see whether the president will sign or not. It shouldn't be difficult. Definitely, this bill will either be signed or not be signed. It's just a matter of time. So I believe that we have to wait and wait till the Supreme Court finishes its work.
All right. In the Daily Guide news paper, late Kiki B's CEO's girlfriend freed. There's the bit about the anti-gay bill. Then there's one arrested over Edu Boahen's son's murder. I'll get to that story on page 3. And the Ghana Police Service has arrested a suspect, Mark Forson, in connection with the murder of Dr. Christopher Edu Boahen, son of the late Professor Albert Edu Boahen, who was the New Patriotic Party's presidential candidate in the 1992 election. According to reports, Dr. Edu Boahen died after armed robbers invaded his home in East Legon in the Greater Accra region. The police, in a release signed by the Director of Public Affairs, Assistant Commissioner of Police, Grace Ansa Akrofi, stated that on March 19, 2024, they were informed by some relatives of the deceased about his suspicious death in his room. In response, a team of police investigators and crime scene experts visited the crime location to initiate an investigation, which led to the apprehension of the suspect, Mark Forson. There's also the Kiki B's story, and a high court in, no, that's not it. Mam Yandi Juf, the girlfriend of the late Bennett Ajekum Adoma, Chief Executive Officer of Kiki B's Restaurant and Lounge, has been discharged by the Medina District Court, where she was being committed for his murder. This follows an advice from the Office of the Attorney General, which asked that the accused, who was charged with one count of murder, be discharged. Juf was arrested and dragged before the court for allegedly killing her boyfriend, the late Adoma, who had visited her at Ogbojo in Accra, where he is said to have become, quote, hyper and started behaving strangely and throwing about things in the room amidst shouting that some people were chasing him. So that's the story there. Maybe I'll just add something else and then we wrap with the news. So there's the new finder. Varsities lament hitches to academic work caused by internet service interruption. And you're fully aware of that. You are at the University of Ghana. Those are our final stories. We have about a minute, Doc. Over to you.
Yes, I will touch on that painful story, the death of Edu Boahen. Very, very painful. And this thing is gradually becoming,
JB Dankwe
in our system.
JB Dankwe Major
unfortunate.
Mahama, among others.
Yes. Edu Boahen, then JB Dankwa.
We can also talk about the Tiger Eye PI gentleman.
Yes. And then the man who operates the hotel in the north and the rest of them.
Right. Drapa Dubai. Right.
Yes. There are a whole lot of problems. I know the security people are doing their best, but we'll urge them to double up their efforts and to get corporates and then put them before court, for the court to, tell us what we should know. Because it creates a very difficult situation for us when people develop themselves, the time for their family to enjoy them, to enjoy their services, even the state to benefit from their work. Then people, unscrupulous people, go and take their lives. I will urge the police, the security people, that we believe that they are working, but let them also put in a lot of effort so that they can deal with this problem for us once and for all.
All right, very quickly on the varsities and internet service interruption.
Yes,
we can go.
It's a problem, but the good news at Legon is that we are getting services and then we are working, right? I am doing this interview in my office connected to the university system, and it's working for us. Yesterday, I was teaching in the night about to some of the my students, distance and main campus students. Over the weekend, I was also working here and all that.
I heard online assessments and tuition were cancelled for a while.
Yes. I know that in this difficult time, sometimes there will be hitches here and there. But so far, what I've experienced, so good. It's my hope and prayer that this problem will be resolved very soon so that it gets everybody on board. Because now our lives, whether we like it or not, is hooked onto this telecos and then the internet services.
Right.
Yes, last Thursday, I had a big challenge. I needed to buy credit at home. I could not. I needed, because I don't normally make use of real cash to purchase anything. Even if I'm going to the market, I buy using Momo because I just love it. It's easy. Wherever you are, you can transact business. So, and I'm happy that if you see the NCA, the minister, Madam Oslekufu yesterday was out everywhere explaining things to us. We need information. And I also commend MTN. They give us updates, and that's what to do. We expect them to double their effort and then finish this thing in no time. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc, for making time to have breakfast with us. Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. He's a political scientist, also director of the Center for European Studies. I wish you a wonderful day. Right before we go, right before I bring in sports with Muftau Nabila Abdullahi, Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic helping us bring you this segment as always. What are they offering you? If you're a man, prostate screening for free. If you're a woman, fertility screening for free. Here's where you can find them. In Accra, at Spintex, opposite the Shell signboard. Kumasi, Kronoma here, behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takrady Anaji State, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa, and the Siamanzama. Their call lines 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. But just the start of sports, up next. Do stay.
Across Africa, a new era has begun. Shifting our focus to a new horizon, connecting us with one purpose: to create and share opportunities to grow. Today, we are making a brighter tomorrow, built by our dreams and our energy. Across our continent, across the world, we are creating a better way to a better future. A Pan-African future, together. EcoBank, a better way, a better Africa.
Everybody knows Acrobato. And if you know Acrobato, it means you know Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic is my pillar. Let's hear what others are saying about Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. Who will be careful Endpoint one?
Chesena me ankasa me period no say problems wom tina ma wo ho idea ma me papa chesena nya asem ketewa na mkwan point no mo hwe me modem no mo he bibia na so mo meduro me fae no ene ma won kra mienu foforo kwa na mkwan mu a eba
and everything yourself
me ma me no adwodwo eda ho a wontumi nante ene ne ko Endpoint o mama nuru a ene ne ho idea watimi asori anante.
That's Endpoint for you of Acrobato. Hello hey ohwehwe what che okay a free bra wo di Endpoint wa dance am me call you no me just say my name koye and person my emre nyina and me magina sebema na me be fear for there the one dey nyina jaresa. You heard everything. I have secret. Endpoint is my secret. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. I'm free.
Customer.
Nada bena mi twa me twa papa. Me twa 10 Ghana. 10 Ghana. 10 Ghana cedis.
Na no dia say na obenya.
10 Ghana cedis no. Me dia. Maybe 54,000 Ghana cedis.
54,000.
540 million. Here.
Bia e ma dompe soft. Bia how the one na me twa me di ehun skasa
keke. Yeah. Ene na giga keka dey tena we. Tena wa boki. Ah, draw no na asase no. Mami me volume. Aha. Customer. What is? Hey, make a big phone. Make a phone.
star 946 hash. Now that pick 4 numbers. I can draw when one no. 10 Ghana cedis 54.
Pick 4 numbers from 0 to 9 up to 3 times daily to become one of our daily lucky winners. Dial star 946 hash to play now. Or you can also play online at www.gamepackgames.com. Game Park is regulated by the National Lottery Authority.
Across Africa, a new era has begun. Shifting our focus to a new horizon, connecting us with one purpose: to create and share opportunities to grow. Today, we are making a brighter tomorrow, built by our dreams and our energy. Across our continent, across the world, we are creating a better way to a better future. A Pan-African future, together. EcoBank, a better way, a better Africa.
Countdown to December 7. Political party manifestos will anchor the key issues that will define the next government. The need is urgent to guarantee that the manifestos reflect the real needs of citizens. Star Ghana and JoyNews proudly present the Ghana Connect Town Hall live from the Northern Regional Capital, Tamale. Citizens will gather at the Bagabaga College of Education on Wednesday, March 20, 2024 at 3 p.m. for the live Town Hall engagement. Join us for the pre-live event engagements from the morning as we sift through the key issues of importance to you. The Star Ghana JoyNews Ghana Connect Town Hall live on JoyNews, Joy 99.7 FM, myjoyonline.com, and across our social media platforms from 3 p.m. this Wednesday. Make your voice count in the crafting of manifestos, only on your election headquarters.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to AM Sports here with me, Muftao Nabila Abd. Day 2 of the track and field events in the ongoing African Games came to a conclusion at the University of Ghana Sports Stadium. And we were at the facility and we have details of what Ghanaians' performances were like at the races. Day 2 of track and field came to a conclusion at the Lagos Stadium. It was a day Ghana was hoping probably win not less than 4 medals, because the men had finished, had secured a place in the final of the men's 100 meters. The country's record holder when it comes to 100 meters, Benjamin Azamati, was the hope of Ghanaians who thronged to the Legon Sports Stadium to witness the races. And also, Barnabas Ageh, he was part of the race for the men's 100 meters final. For the women's division, Mary Boache, she was also in there. And there was the 10,000 meters as well as the women's high jump. However, Benjamin Azamati, Barnabas Ageh, and Mary Boache were unsuccessful in their attempts to win medals for Ghana in the sprints. And when it came to the 10,000 meters, William Amponsa, unfortunately, was also unsuccessful in their attempts to get a medal for Ghana. But in the women's high jump, the record holder, Rose Yeboah, she was able to defend the gold medal she won 5 years ago as she did a jump of 1.90 meters, which guaranteed her a gold medal because the second place was 1.81 meters. However, Rose Yeboah has not been able to qualify for the Olympic Games because for the Olympic Games qualification standard, athletes need to do 1.97 meters to stand a chance of qualifying to Paris 2024. So Rose Yeboah won gold, but unfortunately she's not going to the Olympic Games. In the women's 4x100 relay, Ghana finished first. In the men's 4x100 relay, Ghana finished first. These are races that many Ghanaians are quite hopeful that medals will be coming from that area. There's also John Ampoma who will be in there for the javelin. And this clearly brings us to the point where many people would be here at the Legon Sports Stadium hoping, just hoping, to see that the country win medals in this year's African Games. Guess what? The crowd here on Tuesday night was magnificent, one of a kind. I saw the Chief of Staff, I saw the Minister of Youth and Sport, I saw all the dignitaries, and the crowd, the stadium, was almost full to capacity. Maybe during the final of the 4x100 meters relay, you might not get a seat here at the Legon Sports Stadium to witness the field and track events in this year's African Games. Muftau Nabila Abdullahi for JoyNews Sports. And just a quick one on Rose Yeboah, and also there's a possibility that she could still be going to the to the Olympic Games because she is Africa's champion, and there's always a window for continental champions to qualify for the Olympic Games. She's not been able to qualify through the African Games, but there's a possibility that she could be going by virtue of being African champion. Well, I did mention that one of the athletes Ghanaians were bumping our hopes on was Benjamin Azamati in the 100 meters. Unfortunately, he was unsuccessful in his attempts to win a gold medal or even just lay his hand on a medal in the games as he finished fifth in the 100 meters final. He says he expects more from himself, so he's not so frustrated by the expectations that were on him. According to him, he understands the criticism that he's received so far.
You know, having like the whole nation on your shoulders and having to represent them very, very well brings a lot of, pressure on you. But I've always seen pressure as me performing better because, of course, I think Ghanaians, or I believe Ghanaians wish me well. They want me to do well. That is why when it doesn't come out the way they want it, they get mad about it. But I'm a fan. I'm a fan of football. And I also get mad when players don't play well. So I really understand that. I really understand the criticism and everything. And I accept it. I take it. I don't get mad about it. It's normal. It happens. But I've always said one thing to myself, that whatever that the fans want, I believe that I want more for myself. And as much as they are disappointed, I'm more disappointed. I just have to work on myself, work harder to be able to make them excited, to be able to make them proud.
Talk to me. I noticed that in the last 20 meters of the 100 meters, it appeared you pulled up, but you were still able to psych up yourself for the 4x1.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've prepared ourselves for times like this. There are still ups and downs, and champions never give up. So regardless of whatever that is going to happen in my career, as much as it happened in front of the home crowd, people will think it's really going to break me down. But I got a whole team that was depending on me. The other three guys was depending on me, wanted me to run it, wanted us to do well, and I had at the back of my mind we had to defend our title as well. So came here, psyched myself up, talked to my coach, Elama Manakpo, gingered me for me to go into the relay and just go do well and let's qualify to the final.
Now let's hear from Coach Elom Emenakpo, who's been speaking about the race. He says Benjamin Azamati did very well in the 100 meters final.
Me, I think it's a good race. He ran a good race in the heat. You know, the heat is just about qualifying to the next stage. In the semi too, you have to make a time to get to the final. That's finishing first or second to make an auto qualify to the final. And then in the final, I mean, he had a nice in the middle of the race. I don't know if it's a fatigue or something. Then he came fit. But to me, that's his third race, 100 meters of the season, and I would take it as a good race.
He told me how you psyched him up for the 4x100 relay. How did he do that?
Well, Ghana, our 4x1 is the side that we have. You realize that anytime they run, they are breaking records. Anytime they run, they always make the nation happy. So when I watched the 100 meters, I was a bit worried. So I rushed down. So I said, "Are you okay? Are you sure you can make it in the distance? Hey, go out there and make our nation proud because a lot of people want to see you run and they are depending on you for today."
We saw a huge crowd. Huge. It means that expectations are
high. That was lovely. And then when I was hearing Ghana was saying, that was so lovely. And I really didn't know people actually love track and field like this. And like, to my utmost surprise, like, the love, even after the ladies run and everything, like, you see the wave going on and all those things, that was lovely to watch.
But it is lovely to watch, but it comes with some level of expectation. So you and your athletes.
Well, you see, really, it's very technical. 2019, everybody was expecting Nigeria to win. Ghana beat them anyway. But this we don't want to depend on history. We don't want to depend on history. We want to depend on what we have today.
Now, let's move on and hear from Joseph Paul Amoah. He anchored the relay team to finish first. And he's been speaking ahead of the final. He says there's pressure, but the pressure is quite positive.
Amazing. That was good competition. And I love the crowd, so we're hoping they come back. They come back tomorrow in their numbers and then give us the support that we need here.
2019, you won gold.
Yeah.
Expectations are that you defend that title.
Our goal is to defend the title and possibly run faster than we. Race. Even 4x1 finals, near 200 hits. Race by race.
Okay, the final one just before I'll let you go. There are many Ghanaians who are so excited because for many years they see you run on television. Finally, they see you live. What message do you have to give to Ghanaians?
It's amazing. I'm also happy to see them. And I was anticipating a crowd like this, and coming out there to the call room to see them like that, it was just an amazing feeling to run in front of the home crowd. Yeah.
But did that put pressure on you?
Good pressure. I like it.
And the 4x100 meters men's relay will be happening at 6:35 p.m. tonight, and you would want to go to the Legon Sports Stadium and throw your weight behind Team Ghana. There's also going to be the 800 meters where Alex Amankwa will be competing. And the women too, their 4x100 would be happening at 6:25. Now, let's hear from Joseph Fambule. He's a Liberian athlete. This is the second time he's coming to Africa. And he's quite excited that he's competing in his first ever continental event.
This is my first time here at the African Games in Accra, Ghana. I'm super excited to be here in Africa. Once again, this is my second year coming to Africa, second year in a row. So I'm really happy to be home.
Yeah, and you just ran in the men's 4x1 heats?
We came second in the third heat. Yeah, overall it was Ghana, Ghana, Nigeria, and then us, I believe. Yeah. So, third overall.
And what are your expectations for the 4x1?
To win. To win. To win.
So you're not scared of Nigeria, Ghana?
No, it was a good crowd. It's a great stadium, great crowd, nice track. There's not much I can really say, but if you don't expect to win, then why are you in the race?
So in the women's 100 meters final, we saw the Liberia team.
Maya came second, yes.
Yeah. And even in the 4x1 women's heats too, Liberia won their heats, finishing ahead of Nigeria. What does that portend for Liberia's teams?
That portrays that we are more than just the men's. Last year we didn't have a women's relay. This year we do. So that goes to show that people want to rep their home country more. It's not just about going to the Olympics, it's about the pride. We all wear Liberia on our backs and on our shoulders. So just have them coming out here, have them travel, coming to Accra, putting on for our country means a lot.
Joseph Fambule speaking there. But now let's take a look at the highlights of some of the events that happened on Tuesday night at the Legon Sports Stadium.
It is Bogale who's racing strongly, followed by Diriba. Bogale is now Ethiopia 1-2. Who is going to finish in first position? It is Bogale who is going to take the gold, followed by his teammate Diriba Gebechu, and Evans Kiptu comes across to claim the bronze medal. Another fascinating win for Ethiopia to get the gold and top it up with a silver. It is that man, Nibret Malak.
Favorite to claim this title, just as their teammate in the long jump is also favorite.
She'll be hoping to consolidate that first place by going a few meters further than the 13.80. Well, this will not be heroic enough to clinch the gold for Nigeria. Well, she has indeed clinched the gold for Nigeria.
She did. That was a playback. So she's won the gold medal route to zero. No real surprises there. At this stage, with about 300 meters to go, it's the Ugandan who's getting really early. Alex Amankwa, the Ghanaian, is struggling to keep up with the pace. But the Ugandan is going really strongly. But look at Alex Amankwa on the inside lane. The Ghanaian is coming through. Is he going to pip it? Oh, Alex Amankwa will finish second behind the Ugandan. And yet again, the Ghanaian gives the home crowd a massive show. He may be the winner, but it's the Ghanaians who are celebrating more widely than anyone else. And there they go. The third and final heat. Look at that. It's Zimbabwe going really strongly. That's a great start from the Zimbabweans. Ghanaians are already behind. It's Azamati against his Zimbabwean compatriot. As they go through the bend, it's Solomon Hammond who will take over from Benjamin Azamati. And the Ghanaians are in the lead already. The defending champions are running really well. Joseph Paul Amwa grabbed the baton. It's not a smooth changeover, but he's got it against Fambule. The 200 expert, both of them, and Joseph Paul Amwa is flying. Looks back. It's almost show business for the Ghanaians.
38.67 seconds.
That is the fastest so far, and the crowd is absolutely buzzing. This has been a wonderful way to get the crowd pumped, and this is exactly what the crowd has come here for. So far, the men and women's relay team of the home country have given them everything to cheer about. There goes South Africans in the third leg, running the bend really strongly as well is Ghana, and that leg is being run by Janet Mensah. Janet Mensah will hand over to Ho'Halutier. The change is not smooth, but the Ghanaians have got it. Ho'Halutier is out in the lead, and look at her, she's running well, so is the South African, but there's no catching the Ghanaian. Ho'Halutier crosses in first position, and Ghana will take heat 2 of the 4x100 meter relay, laying down the marker.
Now, let's go to the Accra Sports Stadium, where Ghana's Black Satellites secured qualification to the final of the men's under-20 football competition in the African Games. They defeated Senegal 1-0.
One introduction of, remember, Duma co-host at 16 appearances and 2 assists in Ghana Premier League for James FC. Well, the expectation is that he'll be able to solidify the offensive line of the Ghanaian team and push them forward. The free charging forward. He has Ndiaye to be the free. He is able to get the ball in play, and Ghana may have a chance. The Ghanaians have scored, and guess what? The Samatex player, the man who scored the only goal for Samatex, is Summer Boy, has come up the bench to score for Ghana in the 83rd minute. What a defensive last there for Senegalese, but the free never gave up. He had Ndiaye to deal with. He dealt with him, and then guess what? Prince Ali fluffed the opportunity to save that situation for Senegal, and it is Michael Essien, the substitute, becoming a hero for Ghana here. Is this man to send Ghana competition? And is Ghana ready for Uganda?
Happening on Friday, and they will come up against Uganda, who also defeated Congo 4-2. This is our wrap up AM Sports here with me, Muftau Nabila Abla. We appreciate your time.
Down to December 7, political party manifestos will anchor the key issues that will define the next government. The need is urgent to guarantee that the manifestos reflect the real needs of citizens. Star Ghana and JoyNews proudly present the Ghana Connect Town Hall live from the Northern Regional Capital, Tamale. Citizens will gather at the Bagabaga College of Education on Wednesday, March 20, 2024 at 3 p.m. for the live Town Hall engagement. Join us for the pre-live event engagements from the morning as we sift through the key issues of importance to you. The Star Ghana JoyNews Ghana Connect Town Hall live on JoyNews, Joy 99.7 FM, myjoyonline.com, and across our social media platforms from 3 p.m. this Wednesday. Make your voice count in the crafting of manifestos.
Theophilus Isifuabaji just wanted to help his mom fix her milling machines whenever they broke down. But with the skills he has acquired, he's now designing and manufacturing agriculture and construction machineries. We feature his startup, Age Engineering, this Wednesday on the Joy Business Van.
I also discovered the challenge that is in the agri sector, which is post-harvest loss in cereal production. So that was where I gained interest in developing a threshing machinery for the last section of the underserved market segment who are into agriculture, who do not really have the means to purchase, these humongous machineries that are, or threshers that are on the market. So the aim was to add threshing machineries to the production so that we will have machines that are professionally designed of high quality standard and economical as possible.
Theophilus's vision is to industrialize Africa and create jobs for the youth. Age Engineering on the Joy Business Van this Wednesday on TV, radio, online and on ground. Powered by Joy Business and supported by EcoBank, A Better Way, A Better Africa, and MTN, What Are We Doing Today?
economic management team, it is quite clearly a fantastic team. Professor Jambafo, Senior Minister Yao Osafo Maf. What a solid team.
It is your essential guide to the pulse of Ghana's democracy. Election Brief offers you a front row seat to the latest updates, in-depth analysis, and comprehensive coverage.
What does this mean? We project it almost possible President John Dramani Mahama to achieve 50% plus one. Our projection is that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo will win the 2016 presidential election.
Undefeated.
During this campaign season, our experienced team of reporters will bring you exclusive insights, breaking news, and unbiased reporting from every corner of Ghana.
People have met him with excitement and they keep chanting Savior to imply that they believe that he holds the key to turning the economic fortunes of the country.
As Vice President, I am like a driver's mate. But by the grace of God, if you make me the president, I will be in the driver's seat with constitutional.
We dive deep into the strategies, the promises, and the people shaping the future of our country. Election Brief isn't just about the headlines. It is about the voices of the people.
This is an election. These people came to us that they are going to maintain everyone. And here lies the case. We have the videos, evidence. And now they've taken our names out. Look at the number of people here. And they expect us to let the election go on. Never.
Join the conversation and have your say. Your voice matters in shaping Ghana's future. Catch the Election Brief every weekday from 2 to 2:30 p.m. only on Joy News. Joy News, your election headquarters.
Welcome back on the AM show. It is time now for us to get into our big stories. And the question is to assent to the bill or not to assent to it. That is the dilemma, if you like, of President Akufo-Addo. Some civil society organizations, among others, have said, sign it. Others have said, don't sign it. In the political divide, members of his own party have said, put pen to paper. Do this on behalf of the ordinary Ghanaians. Others have said, wait, hold on, not so fast. But now we hear that the presidency has come out to say, in a statement signed by Nana Asante Bediatuo, the executive secretaries of the president, saying, no, we're not going to sign this. In fact, don't send this to the clerk of parliament. Don't table this before us because we don't have leeway you don't have leeway for that to be done in that regard. We've also heard from the Attorney General, who has proffered advice that in light of the surrounding developments and the matter being before court, the presidency should stay on giving assent to the bill. But the minority sharply has contended that the president is overreaching. He is reaching beyond the powers the Constitution gives him. And again, there's been talk about the e-levy, which had some challenge in courts, the Supreme Court for that matter, but Mr. President went ahead to sign it. So, is Mr. President picking and choosing? And where do we go from here? Well, joining us for a discussion on that, we have the lawmaker for South Dine. I'm talking about Roxanne Nelson Dafiamekbo. He joins me right here in the studio. Well, thank you very much for joining the conversation, Roxanne. And later on, we'll also have Dr. Justice Swemsai joining the conversation as well. Roxanne.
It's my pleasure to be here. And
how do you find our new studio?
I was going to zoom straight into that. Very beautiful studio, befitting your status as a primus inter pares among media operators in this country. And I think that we used to operate from here anytime we came to the studio those days, but the renovations began, and here we are. Fantastic studio.
Yeah.
And we have to commend management for this.
Yeah.
Very spacious too.
Indeed, but it's not been easy.
I know.
On the back of, price fluctuations. If you budgeted...
and all that.
Pardon me?
On the back of DDEP and all that.
Yes.
So,
and even if you budgeted for an item, this was around when we also started being hit by currency fluctuations. So if $1 was, let's say, 7 cedis, and all of a sudden now it had jumped to something, you realize what that would mean for
it throws every budget out of scope.
Exactly.
I appreciate that.
So it's taken a lot to bring this to bear, but we're happy to deliver. After all, like you said, we are primus inter pares, first among equals, first among our peers. But let's get to the main matter, the meat of the matter.
But let me say this: my constituents were in distress.
Oh, right.
Rainstorm, some terrible rainstorm.
How long ago was it?
That was last Thursday.
Last Thursday.
And so by Friday, lots of homes. This is from Peki Wudome.
And these are some of the pictures right behind us.
I had to quickly rush to go visit them. I was there on Saturday and Sunday.
Wait, this is a building with the roof ripped off?
Completely gone. And this is Wudome. And so far, by our reckoning, over 100 homes affected.
Wait, you're telling me over 100 homes are like this in this state?
No, various degrees of damage. Wow. So we have homes like this in Wudome, Blengo, Peki Chame, as well as Tongo, Germany. And
I see.
We are in distress. We are calling for help. We need roofing sheets, some timber, as soon as possible.
So you need what timber?
Roofing sheets. And some timber. That's 2x4 to be able to assist the people to re-roof. The rains have set in. So even though this happened last Thursday, that's me in the background.
Okay, so those are some roofing sheets that have been ripped off.
Completely ripped off. And even though this happened last Thursday, it rained on Saturday, it rained on Sunday. Wow. And I left yesterday. And I'm told that it rained again. So, when it's like this and the rains pouring, it eventually destroys the structure. So that's the situation. That's what we are.
This is really sad. So how are the people coping?
Somehow.
Because especially if this happened on Thursday and then it rained on Saturday, you have property in there. How do you take it? Where do you go?
We still have family support. The social support system in the rural areas is still strong. So some have moved to join family homes. Some too have moved to join families who live in other residential properties in these communities. And so that is how we are coping for now. but the intervention regarding provision of roofing sheets and timber to support them to re-roof the structure before we look at other means of sustenance will be looked at.
Wow.
So this is Wudu, man.
So I guess this is an appeal as well to the general public to help out. The same way people were very helpful when it came to the Akosombo Dam spillage and all of that. I mean, this is you can look at that building, you can see that part of the roof part is gone. This one at least is
it got the back. This one is the back.
Oh, for this one, oh, so you can't see it. It's the rear that has the problem.
So we had gone this way.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah, completely.
Look at that. These are troubling scenes, and definitely no one would want to be in such a situation. Well, look at that. Look at that. Different angles. Different angles. Anyway, so let's see. Now that it has been put out there,
I've made
let's
contact
see
with the
how
NADMO CEO, as well as the Director General, as well as the Deputy Director General, and I hope that they come to our aid soon, or as soon as possible.
I see. Well, that is a concern that has been raised, and we are all adding our voices to it with our platform and hoping that people of goodwill will support this community. About 100 of them with their roofs either fully or partially damaged, ripped off, and we're hoping for help for them. But let's get to the substantive matter. How did you find the latest, release from the presidency, Nana Asante Bediatu, communicating basically to Parliament, to the clerk of Parliament, stay whatever you're doing? When we say stay in legal terms, you understand. Don't proceed. Don't even bring this to our table. And we heard from the minority leader, but what was your thinking when you heard of this?
First of all, when the letter was forwarded to me, what struck me as odd was the tone of the letter. I mean, there is an official way of communicating, irrespective of your feelings, personal feelings. When we are communicating officially, formally, there's a tone that we apply. But the tone in this letter was one of disdain, was one of arrogance and contempt.
Arrogance and contempt.
Yes. I mean, if you read right from paragraph 1, it says it's come to the attention of that the clerk made an attempt. How do you attempt to serve any document on the office of the president? The office of the president is a public service office. It's part of our civil service structure. It works 24 hours a day. The office of the president doesn't sleep. It receives all manner of official communications from all manner of statutory and official institutions in this country. Now, notwithstanding your disposition on a matter, you cannot, for instance, stampede the process of having a document brought to the office of the president. You cannot. So to suggest that the decision to even attempt to so what I can gather is that the clerk actually went to the office of the president to deliver the letter, and he was driven away.
But you don't know that for sure. You don't know that for certain.
You can gauge that from the letter. Because you see, there's a protocol you go through when you enter the office of the president.
Right.
There's a first gate.
And let me see whether we can just put that letter on. Let me try to get that letter. So there it is, Office of the President. It is dated. So the 20. No, that is not the date. The 18th of March, 2024, and it says transmission of the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill 2024. It has come to the attention of the office of the president, of this office, that while the president and other senior officials of the presidency were at Pediase for a cabinet retreat on Thursday, 14th March 2024, you attempted to submit the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill 2024 to the Jubilee House for the president to signify his assent or otherwise to the bill. The office is aware of 2 pending applications. It goes on to talk about, I don't want to,
yes.
Richard Delaskai and Dr. Amanda Odoe. And then it says, the Attorney General has, by letter dated 18th March 2024, informed the president that he has been duly served with both applications and has advised the president not to take any step in relation to the bill until the matters raised by the suits are determined by the Supreme Court. It is the understanding of this office that both applications have also been duly served on Parliament. Therefore, it would be improper for you to transmit the bill to the president, and equally improper for the office to receive the bill until the Supreme Court determines the matters raised in the suits. Indeed, it is settled law that during the pendency of an interlocutory injunction application, the status quo ante, right, as it was before, ought to be preserved, and no action should be taken that would result in prejudicing the injunctive relief sought and undermining the authority of the court. In the circumstances, you are kindly requested to cease and desist from transmitting the bill to the president until the matters before the Supreme Court are resolved. And you say this is what?
It's an arrogant tone. Now,
how else would you have communicated this?
I could say, if I were the executive secretary to the president mandated to write this letter, I would say that I'll give that subject, and I'll say that the subject refers respectfully. This office is informed that you attempted or you were here to submit so and so and so and so. As you may be aware, we have to notify you or bring it to your attention that there are pending suits in respect of this matter.
Right.
As a result, may we all stay within the bounds until the matter is finally determined. That's how you communicate. You don't use words like you must desist. You can't do that.
But these are legal terms. Ceasing and desisting.
No,
they are legal terms.
You see, BDA2 is a third party in this matter. There's a plaintiff applicant and there are defendant respondents in the matter. If a party to this suit feels strongly that a certain conduct is contemptuous of the court, they know the remedy to pursue. It is not up to BDA2 to tell Parliament not to act contemptuously of the Supreme Court. It doesn't lie in his mouth. He's my senior in the law, but on this occasion, he completely treated Parliament like an offshoot of the executive. We are not.
An offshoot of
the
executive?
Of the executive. We are not.
Do you realize what you're saying?
Yes.
We have a system that has entrenched the separation of powers, that has delineated clearly what each arm of government should do, what the powers, specific powers are, and also looking at, is it Baron de Montesquieu? What's the term? It just escapes me. Where each party, there's a separation of powers, and each one tries to act as a counterbalance.
Checks and balances.
Checks and balances.
Separation of powers.
To the other
checks
party.
And balances.
And what you're saying is almost as though that didn't exist.
No, I'm saying that he cannot treat Parliament like an offshoot of the executive. We are not subservient to the executive. We are co-equal arms of government. Right. So when you are conducting yourself in relation to another organ of state, you must conduct yourself within the protocols and the ethics that comes to those offices.
So this was a breach of those ethics?
No, yes. You don't communicate to Parliament as if we are subservient to the executive. All right? The clerk to Parliament is akin to the chief of staff of the presidency. It's akin to the judicial secretary who serves, who occupies an office and operates under the office, or operates and serves the judicial council and the chief justice.
So in other words, Nana Asante Bediatuo was communicating to his compatriot. If you look at the level, he was communicating with this letter
even his
to
position,
the clerk of parliament.
His position is lower in terms of rank to the
right, because okay, he is executive secretary,
yes,
and he is not chief of staff.
No,
so in other words, he was communicating to his superior.
In terms of the organogram, he was communicating to his superior. So language and everything must be temperate.
I see. The point that is made, though, it brings to mind the e-levy discussion and all of that. So, indeed, it is settled law that during the pendency of an interlocutory injunction application, the status quo ante ought to be preserved, and no action should be taken that would result in prejudicing the injunctive relief sought and undermining the authority of the court. Was that not the same situation in the e-levy bit?
Should have allowed me to make this point. I was going to make that point. That Bediatuo was still the executive secretary to the president when the minority went to court to challenge the constitutionality of passing the e-levy into an act, which subsequently received the presidential assent, got gazetted, got numbered by parliament, and has been implemented. Was he not the executive secretary? Isn't the status quo ante doctrine ought to operate at the time? But what did they say? They argue that there's a presumption of regularity of presidential functions under the Constitution until the court of law says otherwise. So that presumption of regularity of the functions of the president,
it still applies now.
It still applies in this case. In any case, if you look at the stipulations in Article 106(8) of the Constitution in respect of this matter, there are clear timelines to be followed when this happens. When a bill goes through the mill and is passed into a law,
right,
and is remitted to the office of the president cannot say that he will not receive the bill. You must receive the bill and take steps. What steps are available to him? Within 7 days, you must inform Parliament that, instead of giving an immediate assent to the bill, I have referred it to the Council of State for advice. And in that referral to the Council of State, the president is supposed to indicate to Council of State the portions of the law or parts of the law, provisions that he thinks that they must pay attention to and advise him. He has to give that indication. If he's not making a referral to the Council of State and he wants to veto it properly, he must, within 14 days of exercising that veto, inform Parliament regarding portions of the bill, proposing amendments to them, and justifying this amendment. And Parliament is mandated under the Constitution to necessarily consider those amendments proposed by the president. And when that is done, Parliament must, by 2/3 majority, approve of the bill. When that is done, it is then remitted back to the presidency, and the presidency within 30 days must willy-nilly assent to it. These are the procedures provided under law.
Okay.
And available to the president.
Right.
Now, if you proceed under Article 2 of the Constitution and go to the Supreme Court.
Hold it right there before you go to Article 2 of the 1992 Constitution. Let me also bring in legal luminary lecturer as well, Dr. Justice Srem Sai. He joins the conversation. Doc, good morning.
Good morning, my brother. How's everything?
I am well. I hope you are too.
I'm very well. Let me say good morning to my senior, honorable. I hope everything is fine.
Doc, we are surviving.
All right. So let me just. Some have said two schools of thoughts. Some are saying the presidency is overreaching. It's going beyond its powers in this, especially when you have the precedent of the e-levy. That precedent has been set. And you know what that means in law. But then others are also saying, well, he erred when it came to the e-levy, so now he's learned his lessons. That's why he is not acting in a certain way when it comes to the LGBTQI+ bill. What do you see? What is your reading on this matter?
Yeah, so there is a word, I think the Constitution used that word once. It's called candor. You know,
right.
To be candid. I think the
to be honest.
To be candid, which means that to be honest and upfront with issues when they come up. I think what is happening from the office of the president is exhibiting complete lack of candor, and which is necessary for running a public office. And I think we are even treating the president's behavior on this issue too seriously. Personally, I don't believe that the president has any honest belief in all the arguments he's making. First, I don't think that he himself or any of his legal advisors believe that when someone files a process in the court, a constitutional mandate, a constitutional command ought to stop merely because someone has filed a process in court. I don't think that the president believes in that argument. And the evidence is what you just referred to in respect of the e-levy. In fact, it was not only the e-levy. Around the same time when the minority was in court, you know, Fix the Country, Oliver was also in court trying to injunct what we call them, the GRE, from collecting the levy. The same argument was advanced, and the Supreme Court dismissed Oliver's application. You know, and this is not the first time. So I have no doubt in my mind that the president has no honest belief in the argument he's making. He also has no honest belief in the argument that he ought to refer or wait for the Supreme Court to decide the matter before he takes a step. Because the president and his legal advisors are very much aware that when the Constitution gives you a command and places the duty on you to perform, it is not your business. It is you have no discretion to defer that duty or refer that duty to another person. And that position was even made clearly in the recent Professor Ojua Piaget case. So all this, I believe, to be honest with you, is just what we call antics. With all due respect, it's just it's just a bunch of behaviors put together to achieve a certain purpose. And let me tell you what the purpose is. The president knows that the case which is in court will never be decided this year. He knows, because we all in this country, we know how the Supreme Court operates. If you add the timelines, there is no way the Supreme Court will decide that case before the end of this year. So the president's interest.
So in other words, what you're saying, Justice Remsai, is that the presidency wants to dodge the signing of the bill, knowing very well that this process could run through the year and that they would escape the burden of signing it. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So the president has not, he has two things to do: to sign the bill or to veto it. He knows the consequence of choosing any of them, and he doesn't like any of the consequences. So what he's basically doing is to try to weave through, delay the process, pass it around, create confusion in people's mind. As usual, we will discuss it, we will analyze it, we'll call the legal luminaries, we'll talk about everything, while he's getting what he wants. And what he wants is that the process will delay. And at the end of the day, nothing happens. He goes out of office. So all there is no doubt in my mind that the president doesn't believe in anything he's doing, anything he's saying. Talk about the service of process on the president. The president doesn't have to be personally receiving, processes from anyone. Communication, like Senior rightly said, communications, thousands of them go to the president's office every day. He doesn't even receive one of them. So they claim that he was in Pediastic and then someone attempted to serve something on him, creating an impression that he wasn't personally present in the Jubilee House, so the process could not be transmitted to him. It's even neither here nor there. So really, it is just lack of candor, fear, and sometimes I may even say frustration. And when you read the letter, the tone is full of frustration. I think the president is frustrated seriously about what is happening, and all he's trying to do is to find a way to dodge the bullet, or let's call it the bullet, the issue. That is what I think of this. And I don't think that we need to even spend time to make any legal argument for or against this. And the ordinary Ghanaian is aware what the president is doing.
You say it's a complete lack of candor. Your senior in the studio, Roxanne, has also pointed to the fact that it denigrated the clerk of parliament, because if you look at it, the judicial secretary is in charge when it comes to, of course, we have the Chief Justice, but in terms of communication and all of that, administration-wise, it is the judicial secretary. When you go to parliament, it is the clerk of parliament. When you come to the executive, it is the chief of staff, right? But the tone of the letter and its communication, did you see anything wrong with it?
Well, I agree with Senior that it seeks to denigrate the recipient of the letter of the address, who is the clerk of parliament. But more importantly, it embarrasses the presidency itself. It is more insulting to the presidency itself than to any other person. Because, I mean, how do you write a letter from a high office at that? It shows a sense of insecurity. It contains so much threats unnecessarily, which need not even come from the office of the president anyway. If the president thinks that it believes in the arguments in the letter, the point it's making in the letter, you don't have to be so aggressive and so belligerent to communicate that. It's a simple issue. If you claim that you have not been served with the letter, all you need to say is that the letter has not been served. And this whole idea of attempt to serve is as if, you know, the office of the president is running away and someone is pursuing him to serve him with a letter, and he's saying that, no, you are attempting to serve me, and that wasn't possible. In any case, if you have not been served, you see, if you have not been served with the communication, but you seem to know the content of the communication, and you seem to address the content of it, and even argue case law and cite authorities just to address what is. So the whole thing is lack of seriousness and to a very large extent, lack of candor.
That's a serious comment, lack of seriousness. Are you saying the presidency is not serious with how it's not acting seriously in how it's addressing this matter?
I'm not saying the presidency is not serious generally.
No, I said the presidency. The presidency.
I have told you that I don't think we need to argue even any law on this matter. Every person who has basic understanding of politics will know that this is just a way to delay some processes so that the president will avoid the issue that the Constitution, you know, places on him to resolve.
So, Justice Remsai, what you're saying, clarify for me, is that Akufo-Addo, per the positioning, we've heard the majority leader, Alexander Afenyo-Markin. We've heard, for example, the Attorney General, Godfrey Abuadame. We've heard the president on this matter. Even a day before the suit was in court, he was referencing a suit that would appear on the 5th of March, and on the 4th of March, he was addressing the diplomatic corps, and he was referencing a suit that maybe the president has a crystal ball that we don't know of. But is your thinking then that Mr. President will do everything? In fact, he will not sign this bill. Is that what you see for now?
That is what I see. That is exactly what he's doing. He's doing everything and anything, including that which will bring him embarrassment, to avoid the performing his constitutional duty, which I think is unfortunate. But be that as it may, he seems to be having his way because the system, he knows how the judiciary works. So it is the safest way to prolong an issue. And that is what he has done.
But that would also be an indictment on the judiciary in a way, wouldn't it? If because we know of the processes and the lack of timeliness in some of these issues. Is this not one of the instances where the judiciary should be able to, in a timeless manner, deal with an issue like this?
You know, the judiciary, it is, I mean, processes, and we have a number of